Big up, big up, big up. What up, what up, what up? It is, let's make sure I'm on live, but Norm, big up to you. We are live and direct for some transfer talk. It is January. It is the window is open. We're well into the window. And I've got Nolante with me here. He'll be here. We're trying to make sure that we can get a good segment out of him because he's got things to do. So make sure that we can get some of his expert insight into the cipher here, and also yours as well. So if you're joining us live, cool. If you're not and you're watching us on replay, be sure to add whatever you would like to add to the conversation. Just add it by putting in the comments, and we'll definitely catch up that way. But for now, I wanted to bring in Nolante to say hello. How are you doing, Nolante?
Yeah, all good, 12. All good, man. Another day, man. Everything's moving fast with clubs, man. It's been a pretty hectic couple of days, actually.
Yeah.
Not concerning us and other clubs, so we're kind of out of it at the moment. And big up Norm as always. Big up yourself, Norm.
Yeah, big up, big
And the rest.
Like I said, today we're going to do a proper transfer news and rumor special, simply because the January window is wide open and is already moving. We've seen coaches fired. We've seen players move around. Like we've seen a major deal, for instance, Brennan Johnson, the Crystal Palace for $35 million. That's not a quiet little January loan. That's a statement move. But let's be real. Monday's transfer talk got completely hacked, or hijacked, I should say, by Manchester United as they hit the big red button, or the eject button. I don't know who hit it first, but Ruben Amorim got sacked. Portuguese boss, yes, Manchester United. Portuguese boss has one post-match. He had one post-match rant, and they said that's it. That's it, after Leeds, and suddenly it's curtains. Now we're heading into midweek. They have Darren Fletcher as an interim for Burnley. January isn't just about transfers too. Obviously it's about the sackings that we're going to see, some of these firings. It's kind of chaotic. Can be pressure, certainly, on a lot of people, a lot of individuals. And clubs can sometimes panic. Sometimes they can keep calm and carry on. But some early movers, maybe. We're hoping to see. Well, you can include Liverpool in that. Arsenal, Spurs, United, yeah, and unfortunately as well, because because once you sack a manager, you're basically admitting you're about to change the squad blueprint as well. So we're going to get into all this stuff. We're going to get into Manchester City looking like they could wrap up a deal for Bournemouth winger Antoine Semenyo, and the number being thrown around that they're going to have to pay is about £65 million, which is not a little, it's a lot. So that could be interesting. We're also going to talk about Liverpool being linked to Marc Guehi, about how Manchester City is apparently stepping up the heat in that transfer. We're going to talk about youth defenders like Nduque and Joel Ordonez, plus names like Adam Wharton, Carlos Beba, and even Rodrygo footing in the gossip. So we are going to get into this, and we are going to say, buckle up. We are going to get into this quickly. But there is something I saw. Nolante put something in our group chat. I read the article, and it got me thinking about some of the dynamics that we're seeing unfold with our club. And it's interesting, and I wanted to hear what Nolante thought about this, and this got me thinking. There is something going on with apparently a power struggle inside LFC. And what's unique about it is that it centers around a 17-year-old boy, young man, let's say, with frightening talent. And a future that now sits at the heart of a growing internal conflict. And what I mean by that is reports this week suggest there has been a tense standoff, not with a rival club, not with an agent, but between Liverpool's manager, Arne Slot, and Liverpool's recruitment hierarchy over the future of Rio. And if that sounds dramatic, awesome. Okay, good for you. But I guess you can look at it as, yeah, it's pretty dramatic. I mean, we're talking about one of our really talented players. Since arriving in the summer of 2024, Rio has looked every bit of special, and he tore through the youth sides. He's impressed during preseason. He was fast-tracked into the first team training by Arne Slot himself. He made his senior debut in January for the FA Cup or Accrington Stanley. Club clearly sees something in him. I mean, he had a great, great goal against Newcastle for us. The fans see something in him. I see something in him. I know Delonte likes the player as well. The recruitment team sees something in him, and that's important. But here's the problem. Arne Slot doesn't seem convinced. And Rio has just made 9 senior appearances since the debut, not because he's injured, not because he's been poor, but because, according to reports, Slot does not yet trust him as a regular contributor at Premier League level. And that difference of opinion has now become a fault line, I guess you'd call it, inside the club. Because after Liverpool sold Lucho to Bayern Munich for 60 some odd million, like 65 million around there, the expectation was Liverpool would replace him with another wide forward. Slot reportedly wanted one. He pushed for a move for players like Bradley Barcola or Malik Fofana, players who obviously instantly raised the ceiling. But sporting director Richard Hughes and his recruitment team said no. Their view, the winger replacement was already in the building, and that was Rio. They wanted Slot to trust him. They wanted him to play him. They wanted him to develop him. And when Slot resisted, Hughes did not back down. He reportedly told Slot that Rio would be part of the plan and that the manager would have to integrate him rather than replace him. That's some bold words, if you ask me. That's not just a difference of opinion or a philosophical clash. That's one side saying we need proven quality, and the other side saying we've already built the next one. And hanging in the middle of that is a 17-year-old who has incredible potential and is at risk at being collateral damage in a structural power struggle. And the uncomfortable layer on top of all this is that Slot's own future at Liverpool is not even guaranteed, which means this isn't a story about Rio's minutes. This is about who controls Liverpool's sporting direction. Is the manager there to shape the squad, or is the manager there to execute a long-term recruitment vision? Because the two things are not the same. And when they're not aligned, we end up here with big question marks. So I'm going to ask, let's be honest, and I'm going to ask this. Should a manager ever be forced to play a young player who he doesn't fully trust yet, just because the recruitment team believes in him? Is that are they wrong? Is Richard Hughes wrong in doing this, Nolante?
For me, yes. And the reason is your role is the head of recruitment, etc., bringing in place a slot, agreeing certain things. So for you to interfere, regardless of whether it's right or wrong, that's not your business. That's for the manager to decide. The manager, head coach, whatever people want to say, and there's been a lot of back and forth with. That's their final say. And again, they're the managers live and die with the rope they hang on them. Yes, the recruitment got a little bit to do with it. If they don't bring them spending power in the place they want, then they're at fault. But if he's saying that regardless. So it shouldn't be for him to butt in whether Rio should play or not. That's just the manager's decisions, whether we agree or disagree.
I'll even elevate the question a little bit, because it got to me thinking. And shout out to Quasi, because I know Quasi is a big Edwards fan.
Mr. Bold,
Mr. Bold, right in the building.
Yes.
And he just kind of runs like happened with Klopp and Edwards. And the situation where it was a little power struggle about, the direction of players that they bring in, the direction of,
Mhm.
even playing minutes, or who should be getting the more attention and development process. And is this maybe a little bit of Edwards' influence, maybe, or maybe even, I don't know if Edwards is playing a direct hand in this or not, but maybe is this
Mm.
not a little bit of, you get where I'm going with this? Like, it sounds reminiscent of like Edwards saying, look, I came back here to do this, and I don't want you to go through the same pitfalls I went through. If you feel this player needs to be played, you're the sporting director. You tell the coach, not the manager, the coach, he needs to do this, 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 and this, and he is supposed to figure out how the best way to do it. Is that a problem? Is that a problem, you think, maybe? Oh, wait. I think Lelante's mic might have gone out for a second.
No, I'm there.
Let's see
No,
some of your. Oh, okay.
no.
Do
I
you think
think
that's a
with you, I
problem,
think
though?
yeah, I think with you, Tor, I think your sound's gone in and out. It's freezing a little bit once or
Oh, okay.
twice you
Okay.
speak, but you're fine now. You're fine now.
Okay.
In terms of your question, in terms of the sporting director, look again. I do appreciate the sporting director is not there for me to interfere in what the manager or head coach, whatever the title, the head coach is there for the team who he picks. Yes, when it comes into buying players, they have a discussion, but he should not be anyway. And I've heard one or two rumors about other trying to dictate because you're disrespecting the head coach. That's not your position.
Mm-hmm.
And then the day, if that's the case, why don't Richard Hughes become a manager at the end of the day, regardless of the right or wrong?
Right.
The managers live and die the decision. The managers either get best rewarded or they make decisions and they get sacked. But it doesn't help when they're kind of undermining the manager. And this is why I think, again, but obviously the club will always win. The hierarchy will always win when managers not happy with some kind of interference. So if I was him, I was just, just leave it be and let Slot make the decision. I mean, we can all discuss Rio. I mean, personally, like I said, my thing with Rio is that I think everyone was overgassing him at the start. And yes, he had a great preseason and but everyone's overhyping him. And, like, oh, he should start, oh, this and that. When for me, it wasn't the case. He's still not 100% ready. And yes, he had some good substitute appearances, first three, and he scored obviously the Newcastle goal. And after that, he came on and he didn't do anything. So, but the real problem is Slot not using the Chiesa, etc. If that was the case, if we're using them a lot more, Rio could have a much more slower development, Because for me, this season, I thought it's not the time for Rio the following season, but Slot has backed himself in the corner for the things he's doing. And now it's getting to the point where he needs to be used at some point. But again, that's on the manager. But in regards to him and Hughes, I just don't like these sport directors getting too involved. It's not their business to be getting involved in team selection or anything like that. That's not their rota.
Okay. All right. Could you even go as far as to say maybe that's the difference between, or that's the thin line, or if you want to call it that, between being dictated as a coach or being regarded as a manager? He is not a manager. He is a coach. That was a distinct difference that they or label that they placed on this hire. And that was that Arne Slot was going to be the coach, not the manager, as opposed to Jurgen Klopp was our manager.
That's true. I hear you, Tov. But what I will counteract that is that the fact if he's the coach, and yes, they're gonna work around certain money and discussing transfers. But if FSG was dictating every transfer or certain things how to play, then Slot would not accept the job because he would not accept the job because he is there to pick the team. They can discuss transfers, and like I've said, and I'm sorry, no one can tell me other. They can talk about the transfer, and yes, it might be a huge transfer, but Slot has to say okay. He has to give it the green light. He has to. They're not going to just say oh, and again with Chiesa, and yeah, he's looking more like whatever reason, but if Slot did said no to Hughes, they wouldn't buy it for no reason. They wouldn't buy it. They wouldn't okay the transfer. He might not be 100% of them, but he said, you know what? All right, I'm not sure. Okay, has Klopp's done it the same thing? And people want to say top managers, Klopp has done the same thing. There's players that he wanted further ahead, and the transfer committee have recommended this place. So he said, all right, you know what? Let's go down this route. And so yeah.
Mhm. It's a question. It's this is something again. It's kind of, I don't know if it's because of the kind of the falling apart of the pieces.
Mm,
We looked so concrete, we looked so foundationally sound, and now all of a sudden, we've got these issues internal.
mm.
Like this is a coach fighting for his. Let's be honest, he's a coach fighting for his for job for in my opinion. I think
Yeah,
I do
100%.
think that his job will become possibly up. There'll be a vacancy in position come this summer, but again, that's not me calling on him to get sacked before someone tries to clip me for that. But it's not, you never know. But not drama for drama's sake, but a very questionable thing to do for our identity is to figure out who has the power. And I think that like Arnie Slot's got to recognize that I get that you're the coach, but you're not the sporting director. For me, it seems like when you signed on to be the coach, you are the employee technically of, or your superior is the sporting director. It sounds harsh, and we're not used to that dynamic. But if you wanted to be the manager and call the shots, you're going to have you're going to see this. It's like the same thing that Amber went through. He made that big, blah blah blah, like made that whole thing about how he was here to be the manager, and that's that, and that to me was called. He wanted to direct the vision and direction of the club, as opposed to be dictated what the direction and vision of the club is. That's. But I guess we'll talk about it more because I know that I see people chiming in. I see people saying hello to both of us here, so I wanted to make sure I said hello back. Big up to Red Armchair Supporter,
Big up,
Hashim
Red
from
Armchair.
Steve,
Big
Fake
up,
Pundit
Hash.
in the house.
Fake Pundit, big up.
Yeah, Lee Wizkid, Lady B's in the
Wizzy.
house. Lady
Wicked.
B's in the house. Big up, big
Oh,
up.
the
All
Lady
right.
of Leicester. Yeah, she
Yes.
got time off her porting duties for the country. There you
Yeah,
go.
there you
Oh,
go.
Queen Lady B. There you go.
Yeah, there you
Big up,
go.
Lady B.
Big up to Eric. Big up to
Big up, Eric.
Hylor.
Hello.
Norm was in the house. Big up Norm and Abdul. Big up to you as well. Just making sure I don't miss anyone. That definitely took the time to say hello. I think I said hello to Eric, but if I didn't, hello to Eric once again. So. We also have JP in the house. Let me bring JP in as well. JP, what it do?
Big up, guys.
Yeah.
Big up.
First time actually seeing you for the year 12. So
yeah.
I'm
Happy New Year
already. So
Yeah.
Wagwan,
Big up, JP. Big up, blessings, man.
Yeah, blessings.
Yeah,
same for the
Wagwan,
chat as well. Yeah.
Before we even move on, I'll ask you the same question that we were discussing. I don't know if you heard the segment that we were just discussing before we get into all this transfer news, and it can be loosely related. There's been a report that there's an internal struggle between Hughes and Slot over Rio's playing time.
Right.
And I know that some of us thought that Rio, look, when they let go of Lucho, I thought it was the wrong move. I'm a big Lucho fan. And I regarded or appreciated the intangibles he brought to the team, even beyond the GA that he brought to the team. However, the team decided, maybe because of his age or maybe because of his wage demands, that it wasn't a good move and they wanted to move on, or maybe just because they believed in Rio. And that's something that's seeming like it's more so than the latter. But what is your opinion about
Yeah. Well, again, that's a kind of ticklish one, because I don't want my sporting director telling my manager or coach what to do, right? So I just want to get that out there. However, having some form of input could be acceptable. So, like in the case of Rio, I would more lean to the side of the sporting director, because Rio is a quality player, right? Rio will be lighting up the Premier League on the left with any lower tier team, or because he wouldn't get into the top tier team. So let's say like if Rio is playing with Brentford, no disrespect to Brentford or Fulham, he would be outstanding and shining and playing with those clubs. Every time I see Rio since pre-season, Rio has looked lively. He has a finish on him. He could take on his man. He has the pace. He has all the attributes screaming for the Premier League. Rio reminds me of Raheem Sterling when when he was under Brendan Rodgers, and everybody was saying Raheem Sterling is too young, and Brendan Rodgers just trusted Raheem Sterling, and we know what happened there. He also reminds me of Trent when Klopp said, "Okay, I don't care what happens. If you play a bad game, go out there, you do your thing." And we all know what happened there. This manager didn't do that. I believe that if he shared the left wing responsibilities like how we did last season with Rio and Gakpo, Rio would be playing a lot more and developing a lot more. And it's kind of confusing because Rio was actually the one in the early beginning when he was getting chances, actually one of our better players for the start of the portion of the season. Remember, he scored the winner against Newcastle. So Rio had more jade and pace, right? So at a point in time. So it showed that this youth could handle the pressure. To score a goal, no matter what time it is in the Premier League, means that you are ready. To be performing the way you are means that you are ready. And for this manager to countless times not give him a 10 minutes, a 15 minutes, when we up 4-1 in Frankfurt in our Champions League game, to give him experience, you're leaving him on the bench. Put him in. Give him opportunities. We're not asking you to start him all the time. Give him opportunities to gain the experience to play instead of just waiting for the cup games to throw him in. And that's where I agree with Hughes in terms of Slot not handling his development properly, because they will count you Nolante, and every Liverpool fan know there were countless times in the season where Rio would have given us a better impact than some of the players who played on the left wing, right? And he didn't give him an opportunity. So I just wanted to get it out there that I don't want my sports director ever telling my coach what to do. And I would more like it to be like, the relationship, you're on staff, you could give a suggestion, but in the case of Rio, Hughes have enough evidence and well within his right to tell Slot, you're doing stupidness with Rio, because he has all the attributes of becoming a great Premier League player for Liverpool, a great winger for Liverpool, and you're just having him rotting on the bench. So,
okay. Norm doesn't believe. Sure. Well, Lady B's going to join us. Let me get Lady B to be a part of the show too here. It's always a pleasure to have one of our Red Queens be a part of the show. Let's give me a second to get it all set up. That's okay. So you're somewhat in the same camp as as Nalante in saying you don't want to see your sporting director telling your coach what to do.
Mm.
But there, you do believe that he does need. Basically, you said the not the writings on the wall, but more so like the proof is in the pudding. I guess is better put.
Yeah.
You know that he is certainly someone that should be given a chance. Like, there's no reason why he shouldn't be given a chance to play.
Yeah.
Why he shouldn't be given more minutes. You know, and that's interesting. And I know that like Norm is saying he doesn't. Do you believe this story? I'll ask what Norm is asking then. Do you believe this story is even true? Norm says he doesn't believe it's. He believes it's it's poppycock, I guess, or BS basically. Do you believe it's true, JP? And then I'll ask Nalante.
Usually there are some truths to every story, and that's the way how they say in Civil War and this bust up with Hughes and Slot. I don't think the Rio is the instant for that. Remember, they could have different factors, so I'm not sure. But there is truth to almost every story, and the way in which other players are coming out and talking now, like what McAllister did in his interview and say, if he speaks, he will get in trouble, and all these things. It kind of adding up to making me believe that it might be true, right? So
be fire.
Yeah, so you can't say 100%, but everything. So,
I mean, there's always that thing of where there's smoke, there's fire. You know, I mean, I know that I see what Norm is saying. He's thinking that maybe the journalist, is feeling the rumor of, or feeling the opinion of fans thinking that Rio should get more opportunities, and maybe he's taking liberties with the stories in itself. But I'll ask Nalante his opinion on bringing B into the conversation as well. What do you think? Is this story, you think, just BS? I guess Do you think the story is accurate?
There's a certain man who's on the African Nations Cup at the moment once said to a certain manager, "If I speak, there'll be fire."
Okay. All right.
And to be honest, and to be a big up Lady B, by the way. Sorry, Lady B, I'll just say my point and you can talk and speak to you. I'll just say that what we've seen in the last couple of days, and it's kind of damning, really. These sporting directors, whether it's manager or head coach, seem to be weaseling their way a little bit. And I'm not really feeling that, even if our manager is not really helping it. Then what should be the manager's point is the manager's thing. That's his decision. We can discuss whether we agree or not. That's a different topic. And like JP, said, about the Rio. But them getting, I just don't like it. Yeah, you would do your thing, like help him in terms of financial players that they want, or agree or disagree, fine. But let the manager do what he's done, because he's going to live and die by the sword. That's it.
All right. Lady B, you're listening to the conversation. What are your feelings on this? You could tell, what are your feelings about the relationship Hughes and Slot should have? Is it appropriate for Hughes to be telling Slot, hey, you need to play Rio more? And also, do you even believe this? Do you believe the story is even true? Welcome to the show, also, by the way.
Thanks, Troth. Nalante, JP, anybody else? Chat, everybody. Yeah, sorry. The reason I wanted to come on is because I've been giving this a lot of thought in the last 24 hours. As we all have, not that story. I didn't know about that until today. But I don't know if you remember this, 12th, but I was on the show sometime last year, and I said at that time we hadn't bought anybody in, and I said to you, if Hughes doesn't buy somebody in, he's got to go. And you were laughing, saying, "What, Hughes?" And I said, "Yeah." Do you know what? I know everybody looks for a blame game, but at the moment, my scrutiny is on Hughes because, because, well, put it this way: anybody who's brought in to find players and buy players, who gets given the money to buy Wirtz and Isak, who everybody's after. That's not a yardstick to measure Hughes by. Anybody with that money could have gone out and bought those two players. You know, he was given a fantastic budget. So now I'm thinking, well, what else has he done? Well, we wanted Leone. You know, I was saying that last year. You know, Leone was brilliant, and we landed him. So give him fair dues for that, because we got Leone. And we got Frimpong, and we got Kerkers. But again, we paid the money for Kerkers because everybody was looking at him at the time. Where are all these players that we used to get that nobody knew about, and we introduced them to the club and they turned out to be coached into really good players? So I'm thinking, well, you know, Slot, okay, you know, I'll be the first to say some of his tactics and his football bore me rigid. You know, I'm really upset about the way our quality of players gone down under Slot. Although he is grinding out results, so you've got to give him that. But I just think to myself, hang on a minute. You know, are his hands tied behind his back a bit now? Because he's given players, you know, to bring in. Okay, so everybody said, well, he's had $500 million, and, you know, why shouldn't he be doing something with those players? But all I'm saying is, what has Hughes done for us other than anybody else could have done, given the same budget, you know? So he's under scrutiny for me at the moment. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay. All right. I can understand that. Because, I mean, I think the relationship that he had, you're basically saying the relationship he had with the coach should have been a more transparent relationship where they at least are on the same page, apparently, less than, you know, than what we're, I guess, seeing currently. Is that that's basically what you're saying too? And he should. He's being he's being a little bit of like a rogue agent in a sense of saying, "Oh, I'm going to do it my way," and not really, you know, have the input of the coach really matter.
Because he knows. Let's face it. You know, he knows that if Slot gets sacked, that's going to show against him because he brought Slot in. You know, he was pushing for Slot, so it's not going to look very well for him that, you know, this guy who looked great, you know, we got the league last year, but we all know there was still this leftovers from Klopp that all our players were drilled into playing in a certain way last year. So, you know, but we still gave Arne Slot the benefit of, well, okay, you know, you inherited those players, but you could have blown them away or lost them or done something, but you brought them through. And we got the league early on. But after that, look at the games that we lost after that. You know, so you know, we then come into the season and he starts winning games. So we think, yeah, well, okay, he's still got it, you know, and we're going there. But as I say, I don't know whether Slot is the man for us. I don't like his style of football. And I don't want to disrespect him in any way, you know. But I just think, you know, if like under Klopp was such a strong will, he wasn't going to let somebody dictate to him. And I think Arnie does. You can see Arnie in the press releases and by what he says. He's, you know, and even at the beginning, he was quite subservient to Hughes. You know, he was saying, he rings me every day and we discuss things. He won't buy anybody without discussing it with me. We have a great relationship. And it was quite subservient to me. And Liverpool Football Club aren't used to that. We're used to managers and not coaches. And you know, we're used to managers who grab the thing by the scruff of the neck and run with it, and they'll, you know, they live or die by the sword. There's a huge grey area here with Slot because he's not a manager. He's a coach. He's not coaching us very well. But there again, they brought in this, you know, set piece coach who was garbage. And why wasn't Arnie doing that? He's a coach. That's what he's brought in to do. Why weren't we doing the set pieces his way? The whole thing is like muddy at the moment for me, you know. And I know, as I said, we look for a blame game, but I don't think, you know, I don't know what Edwards is doing, to be honest. I don't know what his role. You know, well, I know he's got a job at the club, but he's very low key the last two seasons, so we don't know what's doing. But Edwards has gone very low key, and Arnie Slot is out there taking all the flack for everything.
Yeah, sure.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and I think it's deeper than that. We've got to look beyond him. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, I don't want to. I'm not the one saying that Arnie Slot should be the scapegoat at all. I think that the players need to take accountability. I think the backroom staff needs to take accountability, and Arnie Slot needs to take accountability too. I agree with you on that. I don't think it's all on Arnie Slot as being the scapegoat at all. All right. So I do have a boatload of transfer talk. And this is now, it's got another question in me about the same subject. I'm trying to decide if we should just go right into the European football questions or if we should stick with this. So I am going to stick with this actually, because there is another question I wanted to bring up. Simple question, and it's this. So I did read an article that spoke on how they believe Jurgen Klopp wasn't a developer of young talent. He wasn't interested in developing young talent. I don't understand why the article would even go that direction, because we've seen a lot of players, young players, develop under Jurgen Klopp. And it also got to, we're talking about this inner struggle and the likes, and people are talking about, oh, well, we need DMs, or we need a DM, for instance. And shout out to KJ, actually, because he brought this up on another show. But we've discussed this, and a point that we both believe in, and that is, we need a DM, or people are screaming out for a DM, but yet we have a coach that won't really play Endo as a DM, but we had Morton as a DM, but he decided not to go with him and give opportunity. So it's slightly related to what we're talking about with Rio. If we wouldn't give Rio, who we all can agree is a fantastic talent, okay, does it not make a little bit of sense of what Morton had said? He had made comments about saying that he'd had, the coach didn't really give him opportunities. The few opportunities that he had, he thought he played well, but it didn't really matter. Is it maybe that this coach isn't really interested in giving youth players opportunities? He just wants ready-made players, maybe? Is that maybe more so it? I'll ask Lady B, then JP, then Nolante for their answers.
Well, I'll be honest, I'm starting to wonder whether Arnie's not just a puppet.
Okay.
No, but
Ouch.
no, but I am thinking that, is he taking direction from somebody else? I don't know, because what you've just raised, 12, is what everybody, all the fans are all wondering. There's loads of areas that's why we can't understand what's going on, because there's loads of things that don't make sense in any shape or form. And why would you not play Rio? He would have been better being left in the unders, because at least he could have been fit and getting match time and playing. But to take a player of his talent and just stick him on the bench and leave him there is criminal in my eyes. If he's good enough to be on the bench, he's good enough to be on the pitch. So why isn't he on the pitch? And is it Slot's idea, or is it Hughes' idea? To leave him there and stick with again, Hughes came in from Bournemouth, and I know it looks like I'm hanging my hat on him, but he came in from Bournemouth, a much smaller club than we are, and I'm wondering whether he's so scared of his job, he wants to look good, that he's thinking, well, if I go with the model that was there before me, which was, we had this settled team of players and they all played. Let's just stick with a settled team and not, too scared to introduce people. That's what I'm thinking, because, like you said, Klopp. Look at, there were certain games. I mean, we're all upset with Shrewsbury when all the kids played, but at least he gave them a chance, and he gave Dan's a chance. There's loads of players he gave a chance to. But we're not getting that under Slot at all, So, and we're all blaming Slot. But again, I'm going to say, is it Slot, or is it the direction he's been told to go in?
That's a good question. I would love to see more. Obviously, I'd like to see more Rio play, but I'd like to see more of Trenioni actually this season. Considering he was, I think a little bit more developed, obviously, than Rio was, but yet. We're stuck. But JP, do you have an answer for that question too? Do you think, some of the damning words that Tim Morton, Wharton said about Slot and the likes?
Yeah, well, I guess Bernie kind of summed it up there too. So like, for me, because you have me thinking now, right? What she said too, because what she is saying makes me believe that he is a puppet, because the decisions that he continues to make is not wise and sensible decisions, right? So like in case in point, our last previous game, and even if we look at it from football in general perspective, it does make sense that you have a natural wingers or pacey players on your bench sitting, and then you put in midfielders to play the wings, right? So it surprised me when because when I was on Brian's stream, we were talking about, well, we don't want to see Wirtz on the left because we don't want his hamstrings to go, because the left is where your hamstrings will be tested the most, because you have to do running up and getting back. So put him in the 10 where he doesn't have much running to do. So Slot did that, but then you take Curtis Jones, who is actually slower than Wirtz, and put him on the left when you have Chiesa, Frimpong, and Rio to play there, right? Right? You can put Gakpo there and put Szoboszlai in the 10 and let Wirtz play a false 9, and you have Frimpong coming in the right, do something. But he proceeds to put somebody who is slow and is not their primary position in that position when you have a specialist on the bench. Rio's specialist position and attributes is for the left wing. And you are telling Rio that you are so bad that I am going to put one of my slowest players, somebody who is out of position, to play there before you. That is the message you are sending. Klopp,
I can't stand that.
Yeah, Klopp was the total opposite. Klopp was, you are the specialist. This is your attribute. Whether you have a good game, bad game, ugly game, I will take the blame as the manager for playing you. Go out there and show the world what you can do. Right? So for me, Bernie, that you have me thinking now, because no, I'm being honest, because every time I see Slot do something on the pitch, it's like if it's sabotage, that doesn't make sense. Even those little video games that the kids and they play, like the FIFAs and stuff, if they manage in a team and they see the left wing position and center mid, and they have to put players in positions, and they put a center midfield in the left wing, they will see a red mark because you're putting the player out of position. And my manager is doing that. Right? So it's kind of like if a kid could play a video game and say, oh, that's not where that player is supposed to be, and my manager is doing it, then it leads to what Bernie is saying, that maybe he's not in control and he's forced to do these things. He's the puppet, and to get so that's just my little piece there in terms of that, because it Slot in those decision makings and that kind of stuff, it does make sense to me.
Okay, all right.
Because none of the things that none of the things we've seen that have been making sense, and there's no fan, in all these fan channels, there's no fan, and we're talking about fans who've watched Liverpool for years, who know, good football. Nobody's making sense of it. None of us. The players don't make sense of it. The pundits don't make sense of it on television. Nobody's making sense of what's going on. So we're looking at it. There's so many. It's like a ship with holes in it. There's so many holes. The boat's sinking, but we don't know which one to plug first.
Yeah. That is spot on. Spot on. Milante, do you want to say something before we move to the main portion of the show here, which is transfers?
Yes, no Liverpool transfers, but I hear everything that JP and Lady B are saying in regards to the youth side of things. It's kind of disappointing, and I know another Liverpool content creators. It's like, it doesn't matter. Oh man, we need to buy. They're not good enough. But how do you know if a player's not good enough until they try it? That's that I just don't understand the whole. And then even like I know obviously Lady B and JP do a reference to the whole Wharton, Wharton loving fest, and that's fine. But we can bring Wharton in now, and he's not going to solve everything. He really is not going to solve everything. The only thing I'll say with the Rio situation, the only thing is that, again, like I said, I think Rio was, again, a lot of people expecting miracles from Rio, like, all right, he's the next best thing since sliced bread. I get it. But you need to be calm. He's 17. The kid's 17. He's got a whole long career to go. And like I said, he started off well, JP said Newcastle assist and that. And then the other games he came in as a sub, people forget that. He didn't make an impact. He went quiet. But obviously, at times, but the issue is that if Slot would have used Chiesa and all these other people more, then Rio would have came on slowly. And then next season for me is a season where you let Rio loose, you let him explode, let him get actual 90-minute games in the league. But it's not just the Rio thing, because now we're using, like you said, Trey. Trey's like the forgotten guy.
Yeah, he is.
But he's the forgotten guy. He's a very, very good player. I've seen him in the reserves. He's a very good player. But again, it's not losing, and it's going to be the odd cup game, and we just come on for like 89 minutes. But it's, at some point you have to bite the bullet with these boys, because all this 17-year-old Austrian and the Senegalese I'm reading, I mean, it doesn't do anything for us. It really doesn't. Of all due respect, we're looking at the here and now. We've really got Leone at 18. I mean, he will be quality, but again, you're going to give him time. It doesn't do anything, because right now you can get me this best 16-year-old in the world. What's he going to do? He ain't going to do nothing. We need the here and now. We're in a position where it needs to be used. But that's something that Slot, if he does go, that's something he has to look back on and think, you know what, man? You know what? Some of these youngster players, of these youngsters, we're not saying that the be on end though, no one can predict. But Elliot and Morton, these players, and JP and Lady B rightly said, Rio, they could help. They could help, and who knows? And as Klopp, I'm quite harsh on him in certain things than others. But like Lady B, that's one thing I will give him there. He did not have any fear, and some of them did bits for us, important stuff for us. So if he can do that, I don't understand why a Slot doesn't bite the bullet, because that will be just all leading, and it won't be the only thing, but that will be leading to his downfall. It's just Anyway, we'll move.
And Trey Leone as well. Whereas Rio's got the raw talent, and you think this lad's going to improve. Trey's like almost more mature than his age. He's quite, he's quite mature on the ball, Trey, I think. And I think he's a talent that needs to just come on, because you don't think he's going to fluff his lines when he's on the pitch. I just think he will get better and better as time goes on. He's not getting a chance either. It doesn't make sense, because what's the point of having them in the squad? You may just well leave them in the unders and have a narrow, squad, or bring somebody else out of the unders who you don't care about or something.
Right.
I mean, I know I feel like I've upset Armchair by Armchair, because if you
was up Armchair,
but no, I mean, no, we're good mates, me and Armchair, but you're saying that, like, if Rio was turning it up in training, he'd be on the pitch. He would be on the pitch. It doesn't make sense for Slot not to use him. But there's been a lot of times where we would have needed Rio's energy to come on, or when we're losing. Well, we had nothing to lose by bringing him on and everything to gain, and he still has been left on the pitch. And you can't bring a player on with 5 minutes to go or 8 minutes to go and put that pressure on them. Go and get a goal. It's just ridiculous.
It is. This topic is tough to go away from, because you're spot on. It makes me think of like Elliot. Elliot's that kind of player too. The player that can bring instant energy on the pitch. Yet, like, maybe that's just not his MO. Maybe he's not really interested in those kind of players. More in possession-based players. But all right, now will be another 20 minutes of conversation. Let's just get into this transfer talk here, because this is a transfer show. obviously, and I have it set up where we're going to talk about Europe, we're going to talk about Premier League, and then we'll talk about Liverpool specifically. And there was something about European football, at least, that was interesting, because we'll start right now by telling you about this kind of, I guess, tabloid headline. And that is, according to Team Talk, Real Madrid have offered Vinicius Jr. to Chelsea. I know that's a weird one, maybe, to hear, but it's saying a handful, as you know, Chelsea's about to embark on, bringing in a new direction with their coaching and everything else, but Vinicius leaving Real in January is a big deal. That would be a huge shockwave throughout the European and global structure of football. So I guess the angle they're attaching to this report is that Xabi Alonso is disconnected with communicating with him any longer. It is a relationship that has been frayed, and to the point where they're not really on good terms. And basically Vinicius Jr. is upset because he doesn't like the style of play that Alonso is instructing the team to do. It is worth mentioning because January does weird things to big clubs. Okay, so that's why I'm bringing up this story first, because I thought it was a big story. Do any of you buy any part of this? Do you think that Chelsea is going to really go for a player, or Real is going to let a player of Vinicius Jr.'s stature go, or is this purely trying to engage? Or similar to what Norm was saying, trying to, rile up some clicks, basically. What do you think, JP? You go ahead, JP.
That's clickbait for me, like I was, you saw my face, I was like shocked, because I started to think, oh, okay, let's see what is enticing. If Vinny has to move on, what would he see in Chelsea? Like, should I link up with Estevao? So are they looking to go with Palmer, Estevao, and me, probably getting a new striker, right? Because remember, Estevao is one of the big and upcoming stars in Brazil, right? So you will have that another player of South America on the wing, on the next side of the wing, or playing with you. But like, for me, the Chelsea project right now is not looking too tasty for a player of his caliber to leave a club like Real Madrid to come there. Vinicius is that type of player that he will make noise to let the manager go rather than he goes, right? So I'm not seeing it, and that one is kind of clickbaity for me. I'm not really seeing that move for me.
Okay, dude. That's all right. Well, what I'll do is, unless you guys want to comment on it, you're more than welcome to say that you want to say something about that point. But I'll just direct questions to each of you about each individual story, because I have a bunch of stories to unfold here. Speaking of Real Madrid, I don't think they're moving Vinicius Jr. to make room for this particular player, but it could make sense of the links of Liverpool to Camavinga, maybe even the earlier links of Tchouaméni leaving the club as well. But according to a report, another report about Real Madrid, is that Rodri is once again being linked with a move to the Spanish Giants. This is not new, but it's resurfaced again. I guess every time we resurface, it's basically Real saying we want a midfielder like Rodri to be the orchestra or orchestrator of our midfield. And the thing is, when Real starts circling around a player like Rodri, especially a player that is from Spain, a player that could certainly probably enjoy a return home, a player. He's fit, by the way. He is fit, but he's not. But Manchester City have been slow rolling his way back into the fold. Is Rodri to Real just lazy linkage at this point, Nalante, or do you think Real are really trying to make this happen?
I think there's some kind of truth in it if he was available. Because although they're quite well stocked in there, they need like Rodri, you know, Ballon d'Or, 29 guy, but they'll still take him. You could still do some bits. So I think there's some truth to him, but I don't think Rodri wants to go. I think he's one of those red players. I don't think he's got. I think he's settled in City. He's happy. I mean, it's true Pep could go, but I just think he's settled in there. So I think for me, this will be a non-starter.
Okay. I mean, okay. I agree. Songs 4K. I think maybe Rodri is, especially with this injury, maybe he's just thinking, hey, let's get some home cooking, and and it's not like you're going to a mid-level team. You're going to possibly one of the teams that he's probably dreamt of playing for. A lot of Spanish players dream of playing for Real Madrid, maybe. But you think no? Okay, that's good. That's well said. So well spoken. All right. Well, I'll move on from Real Madrid to a focus of Barcelona. There was this deal, I believe, has been completed. I believe. Initially, when I was putting this episode together, Barcelona had entered the race with Inter for Cancelo, but now now that João Cancelo is coming back from Al Hilal to European football, it looks like the deal is done. Is this a good move for Barcelona, Lady B? Do you think that João Cancelo still has something to offer European football?
You best ask somebody. I haven't followed that story.
No.
12,
okay.
So it's no good asking me. Sorry.
Okay. All right. No worries. I'll ask JP or Nilante.
Yeah,
What's your thoughts?
I mean, Barca, it's not that he's going to be their starting wing back or just good cover. He's a good player with experience. He's won trophies. He's a Portuguese international. So in terms of with Barca, and in La Liga, the play style and the style of play in La Liga is a little bit slower and more possession based, tiki taka. So he has that technical ability as well. So good cover for Barca. Very experienced player, kind of like how we have Robbo now, who can come in to do a job if needed, any injury crisis or when you want rotation for the high games when Champions League gets a little more tougher. So I say once you bring in a player with experience and the quality of Cancelo, and he's not your main guy, it's always good business. So good business for me from Barcelona.
Okay. All right. I do want to get Lady B involved in the conversation, so I'm going to move from Europe and move to the Premier League. And this is the Premier League segment. There was one other portion that could relate loosely to the Premier League. It was about Issa Diop from Fulham going to possibly to Paris FC. But I think that you have to look at the teams around, what teams are moving around you are doing as well, because that's going to impact your road towards now our road, which is top four road as opposed to title roads. But this whole thing about the new Chelsea manager is a very interesting situation. I know that Liam Reiser highly likely to become Chelsea's next manager after Maresca's sacking. Strasbourg may be may need a new manager, and Gary O'Neill is reportedly on the short list. That's at least according to The Athletic. But what are your feelings about Chelsea and the way they treat their managers, Lady B? Is this? I know it's a very night and day relationship that as opposed to what Liverpool do with their managers that we see from Chelsea. But do you think which do you prefer to do? Do you prefer the Chelsea maneuvering of managerial employment, or do you prefer the way that we go about sticking by the manager and allowing them to figure out for the most part, more times than not before making a change.
Yeah, no, I think ever since Abramovich, that's, it became like cut and thrust football, wasn't it? If you didn't make it as a player within a couple of weeks, you were out. If you didn't make it as a manager within a few months, you were out. That's not the sort of football that I'd like to see. I really respect our club. The history of the club, where we've always stuck by managers for sometimes longer than we needed to be honest with you. But that's the ethos of the club, and I think even now under FSG, I'm glad that they have carried that on to a certain extent. And I know there'll be a lot of fans who desperately want Arne Slot out, and they'll be shouting,
Sure,
he should have gone. But I would rather have our model rather than Chelsea's model, because how can you build anything up when it's cut down so fast, and then the next guy's coming in, and and the players, but the fans as well. Fans want continuity. They want to see progression. And how can you see that when all you see is like somebody coming in and then chopped and somebody else coming in? So, the short answer is, yeah, definitely I prefer our system rather than Chelsea's.
Okay. Yeah, it's as Hyler's saying, he's been confirmed as being the new manager of Chelsea. I mean, it wasn't too long ago that we were talking about Chelsea as a title contender, possibly, and already it's gone from him winning them a world championship. I don't remember what they called it, what the tournament was called this summer.
Oh, the world, they did get that, didn't they?
Right, you're firing apparently the world champions, champion coach. That's pretty wild,
That's the same trophy we got a few years ago, wasn't it? We won the same thing.
Oh, very similar. Yeah, very similar. You mean this the Super Cup? Is that what you mean?
Oh yeah, sorry. No, didn't we get the World Cup? It was called the World Cup, wasn't it?
Yeah, we got it when it was the other format. So because of the COVID, they allowed all the other Champions League winners who didn't get a chance to represent the Club World Cup in that time, and so they're doing it once every 4 years now. So because I think Chelsea has that title for quite some time until they do it again, I think in 4 years time. So we would have won the when we
sorry, JP. Sorry, JP. Sorry. I'm just going to say now I'm heading off anyway, because I'm going to work anyway. That's all quickly. Be yourself 12, JP. Blessings always.
Yeah.
Lady B, it's always a pleasure. But yeah, man, I'm just heading out and pick up the chat anyway.
Yeah, man.
Back to subscribe,
off to work.
Don't work too hard.
I never did.
Yeah.
Take care, guys. I'll be in the comments watching on YouTube anyway. Yeah. All right. Peace out.
Right.
Take care, guys. Bye.
Bye.
So I think they changed the format, but I think we won that trophy a couple of times when we won Champions League before. So
okay. Yeah, it's unique. This Premier League has had some teams that have been surprises, I think. Certainly some, depending on your perspective, pleasant surprises, maybe some nightmare surprises for others. But Sunderland has been a certain surprise for most, being a newly appointed team. And their manager, Le Bris, is basically saying there will be no transfer talk. He says he's focused on the game. They've got 30 points. They're not immediately drowning, but they're still, he says there's still 18 games left. So he's saying that they don't believe they'll be making any adjustments to their team. It's an old statement, by the way, by Sunderland. Have you been surprised by what you've seen from Sunderland this year, Bernie?
Yeah, I mean, before the season kicked off, and it was the transfer period, and you started seeing all the noise around Sunderland bringing in these big guys who from Europe mostly, or Africa, that nobody had heard of. And you thought, well, so you start looking at them, on the YouTube or something, and you think, well, he looks quite decent, or he looks quite strong. It's not just getting a player in, is it? Anybody can buy a player, but it's gelling them into a team. And the manager there, I think, has done a fantastic job with them. And, you can look at us having, you want world-class players. We've got world-class players. We've been used to moulding teams, and now we're getting ready-made players, but it's still refreshing to see somebody like Sunderland who are doing what we did under Klopp at the beginning, and other managers we've had, where they've got very young players showing promise, and those players aren't letting them down. I think they're doing a fantastic job. So, yeah, I think that I'm really impressed with Sunderland at the moment.
Okay. Yeah. I was going to ask JP this question because on the other scale of it, a team that has been in the Premier League but is now facing relegation from the Premier League is West Ham. But they've been busy. They brought in Luis Guilherme, who was at Sporting for 17.5 million. That's cashed in. They also, and then you've got Callum Wilson reportedly in talks to leave just 5 months after arriving. You have West Ham also having already brought in Tati Castellanos from Lazio for 26.5 million. They brought in Pablo Felipe for 20 million. It's definitely them backing Nuno, certainly, in a relegation fight with money, not words. It makes it a little bit less likely that they're going to do what I would like to see, and that is maybe put Bowen out there for sale, for that's the player I would like to see us go for, in my honest opinion. But I don't think that he's going to be put up for sale, considering it seems like West Ham are making an effort to stay up.
Yeah.
Do you think this is smart squad surgery for West Ham, or is this just desperation? Is this them saying let's just spend whatever we have left in the coffers just to make sure that we stay up?
Well, it's kind of a mixture of both, because they already have some quality players in the team, and as I said, it's the same thing with Cancelo. Once you could bring in players who are fresh and quality, it will give the club a boost to get that motivation to seeing something new rather than just staying with the same thing and you're hoping that it's going to change, right? Because I currently looking at the scores. They're playing right now currently, and if Nuno beats his old club, Nottingham Forest. So that's why I kind of intrigued with that game, because how Nottingham Forest treated Nuno. Nuno kind of, if he keeps up West Ham and then Nottingham Forest gets relegated, Nuno will look like the one who's coming up with a smell of sweet roses there, right? But I still think there's a long way to go with this relegation battle. I mean, Leeds is doing well now, but for me, what I'm seeing from them after watching them a couple of times, I still think Leeds is in trouble a little bit. Wolves and Burnley, in my opinion, are going to struggle and go down for sure. But just in terms of the relegation battle, I think Leeds, it could be between Leeds and West Ham. I think, but West Ham bringing in those amounts of transfers could give them the edge with the likes of the quality players, like you said, Bowen, Paqueta, and all of them. They have Premier League experience. So when crunch time comes around and Leeds and West Ham feeling the pressure, I think the Bowens they will come and show up big due to the experience, and that will that will make Leeds fall back into the relegation and go down. So I think it's good business from West Ham, and I expect them to stay up.
Oh wow, really? You really
Yeah,
expect?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. They have a good manager. They have quality players. Remember relegation battles? You and I would have watched a lot of Premier League in the past 12, and you know there were teams that looked like they were never going to survive relegation, and on the last day survive relegation kind of thing. They got form out of nowhere, and that happens when you have quality players like Bowen. You could have Bowen get a purple patch, score 2 goals in 3 games, and that's a 9-point swing to give you there in the relegation battle. So yeah, I expect them to stay up, especially with the manager, the quality players that they have, and the business that they did in the transfer market. So let's see. I'm still not convinced with Leeds yet, and with those transfers, that's good business for me for West Ham.
Okay, West Ham 4 points off of Nottingham Forest. 4 points off from Nottingham Forest, 3 points ahead of Burnley. Burnley's in 19th place with 12 points, and West Ham has 19 points.
Yeah, as I said, that West Ham just scored.
Yeah.
Yeah,
all right. Well, I nice. A real quick question. I'll ask Lady B just real quick for her. Do you think West Ham's going to stay up? Do you think this is good business?
No, I agree with JP. I think they've got too many decent players to go down. And shortly, I think they'll stay up.
Okay. All right. Be interesting to see how they work this out. I know a team that's doing well this season. They ended the year very well. They won the FA Cup, and then they ended up beating us in the Community Shield, and then and they had a nice little run. They've kind of a little bit, came back a little bit. But I would say Mateta is sale apparently. 8 goals, 28 league appearances. Despite interest from both Manchester United and Spurs, they want a new deal for the forward to through 2027. Standard January stance is he's priceless unless you pay the price. And then there's the Palace rumor that they're prepared to rival West Ham because West Ham is trying to get another forward in, and they're trying to go for Jurgen Strand-Larsen. Looks like they're going to go for. Looks like Crystal Palace is making a move for that player too. Is Palace holding Mateta but chasing Larson? Does that signal confidence in the fact that they think they'll do well in Europe? They'll think that they're going to have a real chance of doing well in the league, and not only league, maybe some of these domestic cup appearances. Or do they expect to lose someone maybe? Are they preparing to maybe lose Mateta in the summer or something like that? What do you think? What do you think, Bernie?
I'm a little bit in awe of Crystal Palace because I think, when you think about we were after Guehi, as they went to Arsenal, I'm trying to think of all the players that they lost and who they had. Whoever is buying their players at Crystal Palace needs, like a thumbs up, because they do seem to buy players and turn them. And then Wharton as well, isn't there? There's so many good players that are getting poached, or there's talk about them going. So I really admire them, for the way they do buy players in, and the way they're able to make a team. With Glasner, will he let everybody go? He's a little bit of a hothead, isn't he? Will he let everybody go and be left behind because he wouldn't let Guehi go? I think he's going to kick up a real fuss. But they seem to be. I watched an article about them about 3 months ago, and they were saying there used to be that team that had to buy and sell players at a profit, to stay stable. But they've proven that They don't need to stay stable. Why don't they keep the players they've got and be a contender? And I think they're on that cusp at the moment for me, where they've got to decide, do we sell off all our players or do we keep them and contend? And if they did keep them, I think they can contend because, we found it out to our detriment, haven't we? They can take us on and they can beat us.
Yeah. Yeah, spot on. I couldn't agree more. It's Crystal Palace's their stance with Guehi and the way that they were going about it. I don't know if this is more Glasner than Crystal Palace's stance, maybe, or who's actually in control of the decision making completely at their club. But I'll tell you something that's very interesting, and that is apparently Tottenham are reportedly in talks with Santos for 19-year-old left back Souza, who is new, and Newcastle are interested in the player too. But hearing Spurs go after a talented, Brazilian player is maybe the new era of Spurs football. Now that Levy is out of the picture, are Spurs about to turn a new leaf? Do you think, JP?
with a left back.
I know that's not headline news. I get that.
because no, I know they have good wing backs already. They have very good quality wing backs. So it's just maybe it's January transfer window. Let's see, but for me, if it was like a winger. Somebody who could help support Kudos, because I think Kulusevski has been out for some time and I think he should be coming back. But let's say like it was somebody, a winger
at that level.
Or like an attacking midfielder, a young, exciting prospect, right? Because I think Madison is also out for some time too. So let's say like you bring somebody like that to kind of, I know they got Xavi Simons and it's not quite working out just yet, but like you expect quality players where it counts. And for me, when I see Spurs quality, they have very good quality wing backs. I would take Spence in a heartbeat because the energy that he always shows when I see him play is exactly what I would no disrespect to Bradley, it's exactly what I would want to pay to see at Liverpool. But like when I see teams have good wing backs and then they buy another wing back, it's kind of like even if you take the spot of that current wing back, they already had good wing backs, so not making sense to me. So they getting good. I don't know, that part of London just seem to like focus on defenders and try to.
They do.
They do. They have a whole host of so maybe they do that new leaf where they want to be more defensive so that they can play good attacking football. But not just yet for me.
Not just yet for Spurs. Okay. Yeah. I know that. Yeah, go ahead, baby. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say about Spurs. Like everybody was blaming Spurs' lack of everything on Levy, weren't they? They were saying, we were a terrible owner, and he was stopping the club, he was causing them. Kane wasn't happy, but he's gone, and I don't think there's a lot changed there. So I think well, but when you look at it, they're still in problems. So why didn't this new impetus come in and get them going and firing on all cylinders and doing what Spurs can do?
Right.
And we're still not seeing that, and they've changed the managers. So I think there's almost like it's not. I think whatever Levy was doing, okay, he might have had the final say. Who knows? But I think there are other people there at the club that are also holding them back because there isn't the growth that there should have been since they've changed owners. They put money into players, and they're still not doing it. It's really a difficult one to decipher. But I don't think there's a lot changed since Levy left. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I think that it's there's no more scapegoating Levy basically now. The Spurs are now going to have really make decisions to see if they're really a big six club. You're spot on with that. I'll even real quick. I'll ask you this real quick question, then I have one final question for the Premier League segment here, and that is like Scott Parker called Burnley powder puff after the Brighton match. Said they lacked belief, didn't look like they thought they could get anything. We have Burnley, I think. Don't we have Burnley coming up, right? We have Burnley. That's our after Arsenal. I think that's our next. I want to say that's our next Premier League game, right? That's a good. It's all. Yeah. You know, the coach, basically shooting off a flare gun at his team to like really step it up. That's a little bit of an annoyance. He could have maybe said it after the Liverpool game, but all the same, is that do you think there's more? Do you think Scott Parker's got a little bit more on his hands at Burnley than he's letting off? Letting on to? Do you think, Lady B?
Well, Burnley. I hate to say this, don't want to upset anybody. Mostly you, Tom, but they were taken over by Americans a few years ago. And they'd always been quite a parochial club, They were actually owned almost like a cooperative of local businessmen who were not huge businessmen. It was just they were the locals and they bought it, And they always had that same sort of thing. And when Sean Dyche was there, as we know, that he kept them up by being defensive and being able to park the bus every time. And he always punched above his weight just with his defensive tactics. And I always remember, my dad's passed now, but I always remember him saying to me, if he was given money, could he get strikers and would he have had a good team, Burnley, And he didn't know that, did he? Because as soon as the American owners come in, the new ones, he wasn't long for the job and he was chopped, so...
are you talking about company? Is that what you're talking about, or?
No. Sorry, talking about Sean Dyche.
Oh, Sean Dyche. Okay, my fault.
Yeah. He went, but so Scott Parker comes in, and they're thinking young, talented manager with loads of ambition, but for me, he's almost done a job, not dissimilar to what Sean Dyche did. He's sort of having to learn that. For me, he hasn't got the players to be able to do much else. That must be really frustrating for him because you could tell he wanted to do something different.
Some big things, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think he's able to do it. So
sounds a little bit like what you. Just to interject, doesn't it sound a little bit like what Company had when he was at the team?
Well, yeah, because didn't he go down under Company?
Yeah, he brought him. He had them. He had I think Burnley had like a record-setting performance in the championship. He brought him up, and then Company wasn't going to change his style. He was going to continue to play like he was in the championship, and obviously Burnley went back down. So
yeah, they moved him on, didn't they? But then he's done well, hasn't he? Company where where he's gone to.
Yeah.
I think his hands are tied a bit for me, Scott Parker. I can't see us not beating them. I'll be very surprised.
You better beat us. Yeah, I'll be very disappointed if we don't beat Burnley. Yeah. But they'll probably play the same way they played against us because we played them already. If you're not going to go for a win at home, you're certainly not going to go for a win on the road. Yeah. They were definitely parking the bus. They had like what do you call those? Like the locks, when the parking.
The low block.
Yeah. They had that set in stone there.
Well, I think with that, Charles, I think Mo's been misjudged, on a bit of that because if you get a block like that, it's like getting the ball through the eye of a needle, and how many people could do that? Not many with a block like that. And I think they set the pace, Burnley, for, the model for most others, clubs at the bottom to go by. If you want to get a result against Liverpool, just pile everybody in front of
in
them.
the box. Sure.
Yeah.
That's what they've done, certainly. I've left this team last because you know how they usually say not last but not least. Well, this is the opposite. This is last, but certainly in my opinion least. Manchester United. All right, so Amorim is out. Fletcher is interim. The BBC says they want a caretaker until summer. It is being reported that they're going for Oliver Glasner as being the preferred long-term choice because his Palace contract expires in June.
Mm-hmm.
They do have apparently a short list. It includes, this is according to Rio Ferdinand at least, it includes De Zerbi, it includes Tuchel, and includes Xavi or Fletcher, the actual interim coach for them now, if he does well. So they'll be open-minded to allow for Fletcher for some reason to possibly, try to get some results. It's a weird one. But you've got this. Fulham are reportedly preparing for an approach for United's from United for Marco Silva. Apparently, he's also in the short list. Plus, you have a report claiming that Manu, Xerxes, Ugarte were desperate to leave United in January if Amorim stayed. Now that he's gone, do they change their opinions? Do they still want to leave? There's also reports of maybe, I'll get into this story a little later, but there's also reports that now that Amorim's gone, Rashford is all of a sudden interested in maybe returning to Manchester United. I don't know if you could pick a more unstable group. I couldn't care less that they are unstable. I hope that it continues, because the kind of the testament for Manchester United runs deep. But is United now in caretaker manager mode because they don't trust the squad, or is it because they don't trust the people, I guess, managing the squad? Is it that they put all this trust in him, apparently he will act out in front of the cameras, they axe him, and now all of a sudden you're stuck with interim managers that you're really going to allow for an interim manager possibly win the job if he does well. What is going on at United in your opinion, JP?
Just chaos, like how it is. I long may it continue. In my opinion, yeah.
Right.
Because it's similar to what's going on. Remember, they were dominating for quite some time back in the 90s, and now they're trying to emulate that. Well, trying to find that sort of success, but probably not changing their old habits that they don't want to die, all these kind of things. And it just seems that the managers who coming in, when you think their quality, and for me, the amount of managers that they had over the years, some of them were dreadful, but there were one or two quality managers in there for me, and the same results being given. So it's, in my opinion, it's not really the managers, but more what the structure of the club and the people behind the scenes is doing. And they're really in a bad place. I'm not really seeing interim manager changing things. It might give you a little new manager bounce to get you through, especially the early part when the manager taking over. But when the dust settles, it's back to the same old for me. And Glasner is a good Premier League manager. But him coming into that chaos, especially if they don't make Champions League, means that you're not going to get a certain type of quality of player, and it means that you're going to have faced the similar struggles that all the managers were posed with. So In my opinion, long may it continue. As I said before, I want to get like 5 more Premier Leagues before they even start to sniff up for kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, so long may it continue for me, man.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. All right, that's the league news I have, at least for us right now. I'm going to bring it home. Let's bring it back to Liverpool. Liverpool's January has been, I guess, quiet on the surface, but there is a lot of smoke. We all know that. The big story remains the same. Liverpool are looking at the back line. Center back dominates the agenda. I'm hoping that's at least the case. A lot of us are hoping that's the focus of our direction in this January window. But Joel Ordonez, okay, he's been everywhere in the last few days. Multiple reports are now cooling that Bruges named him in their Marbella camp. Belgian outlets suggesting a January move is basically out of the question. And they are saying that Liverpool aren't actively pursuing him right now. Meanwhile, Liverpool are reportedly monitoring Charlie Cresswell at Toulouse. There's also a new name, obviously, I guess, in that he's young, but a name certainly, I bring back Lady B, a new name, but certainly a name that's been hovering, in the background a little bit. And his reports say it's about Jeremy Jacquet, 20-year-old. Reports say Chelsea have to move fast before Liverpool or Arsenal or Real Madrid or United, because all of those teams are looking at this young man as a possible player to bring in. It's a proper market signal. There's some young defenders that are hot right now. But for us, is it about bringing in do you like Liverpool shopping for a younger center back right now? Or do we need a ready-made starter right now? Do we need someone that's going to maybe at least contend, if not replace, Ibu, especially if Ibu is going to be going too, by the way? What are your thoughts? Lady B, you're with us still? You ready?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah,
Okay,
sorry. I don't know why I was on my iPad and it kicks you off after so long. On the screen. Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
But I'd go. Well, I think I was saying to you, a while ago about going for Leone, and we went for him.
Yeah.
Or Ordonez at the time. There were 3 at the time. There was a Greek player as well, but and I still would take Ordonez because I think him and Leone could be the future after. Oh
wow, that's bold. That's a bold statement. Okay.
Yeah, no. After Verge and Canate, I think for the future, I think those 2 could be the future for us. But for now, we definitely have to have a ready-made for me. Somebody who's used to, somebody physical who's used to and knows all the guiles, knows all the teams, even if possible. I mean, if we could get them from the Premier League, it would be even better because they'd be used to playing against them. Mm-hmm. I don't know who that player is, if I'm being honest, apart from Guehi. Mm-hmm. I haven't really studied the others, but I agree with you. I definitely think we need a ready-made. Charlie Cresswell is
English. Cresswell has I think he has a brother that plays in the Premier League actually.
Is he the guy at Toulouse or Toulon or somewhere?
Yeah, Toulouse. Excuse me. Yes. Sorry about that. Excuse me. Yes, he is at Toulouse. And Jeremy Jacquet, or Jacquet, I think he pronounced it Jacquet.
Just call him Jacket.
Yeah, Jacket. Right. I was getting just in the habit of calling him JJ. I call him JJ. How about that? JJ.
Yeah, it's better.
It's a little easier. He plays at Reims. So yeah, those 2 players. The the JJ is very in demand, to be honest with you. A lot of teams. I mean, when you hear Arsenal, you hear Real Madrid, you hear Manchester United are always involved in these types of deals always. But, when you hear those kinds of teams are the teams that you're going to be possibly competing for his talents, that does say something. So do you want a ready-made player? I'll ask really quickly, JP, are you in the same boat? Do you want a ready-made player, or do you want someone, or would you go for like a JJ or a Charlie Cresswell?
Yeah, well,
or even a Ordonez too.
Yeah, I mean, I welcome centre backs. I think especially in this modern era, where where the direction we go in, where we uncertain with Konate, Van Dijk getting older. For me, I just like when he said, I want that ready-made centre back. So like Guehi is what I'm looking for either now or in the summer. But with Man City sniffing around, it kind of have me not at ease because I really do like Guehi. I want him to come at the club and help our backline, especially if Konate is not signing a new contract. We will need that Premier League experience, ready-made Premier League experience, and what better way to go with England international and Crystal Palace captain. So but like ready-made for me, and I've seen some of the youngsters names who have been mentioned. I watch, I didn't watch games, but you could look at some highlights and you could see where the hype is. So for me, any sort of defensive cover this January window will be welcomed, and then hopefully you get that ready-made centre back in the summer window, so that you could go forward and challenge for trophies.
Do you know what though, guys?
Go ahead. Lady.
No, I've always thought that we had, our stumbling block at the club. We've had a Mexican standoff with Guehi and Konate. Konate won't sign his contract because both of them are good enough to be in the top 10 defenders in the Premier League.
Mm-hmm.
So Konate won't sign his contract because if he signs it and Guehi comes in, he knows he could be sat on the bench and he wants to be. And then the same with Guehi. Guehi, has been offered, come into, you're what we need. But Konate is a stumbling block ahead of him because is Guehi going to sit on the bench? He doesn't at the moment, and there's clubs that want him. Mm-hmm. And I think until one of them moves, it's probably going to have to be Konate. I think that's what's cost us this season in defenders. If one of them had gone, the other one would have come in. But because, they've both been sitting, waiting, who's wanted the most. For me, I know, there was this thing with Glasner and Drexler and all the rest of it. But I still think always we had two big guys fighting for that first team place. And I think we've had that Mexican standoff. So until one of them makes a decision, that's what we may as well go out for somebody else and disregard both of them.
Well, I'll tell you this, Guehi. Speaking of Guehi, this one is obviously important because, just as you said, the British Broadcast Company says City's interest has progressed due to injuries to Vardial and Ruben Diaz. City may move imminently. They're saying that's a little bit of an issue because Guehi's out of contract in the summer. Palace would love a January fee instead of losing him for free. Is the word. So the question for Liverpool becomes simple: Do you hold your summer advantage, or do you step in now before City turns it into an auction? What's the move?
Well, I mean. Everybody knows our position on Guehi. We think we've got an agreement with the guy, and we think he's going to honour that agreement. But obviously his agent, apparently today I was listening, his agent's has already had a meeting with Bayern Munich, and they've said we want a talk with him direct. He hasn't spoken to them directly, but his agent has. And they've said this month we want to talk with him. So we know he's in demand, but we just don't know what sort of guy he is. You know, you get the feeling with him that he's a man of his word, and he probably said, look, I was so far with Liverpool and I'm still going to go there. But none of us know, do we? He's got everybody knocking on his door. And that's so. And I did see something today that it said that he said his preferred club was still Liverpool. But who knows?
I'm hoping that's the case. Yeah, I'm hoping that is true.
Me too.
We could utilize a player like his level, especially with, just like you said, with the uncertainty of whether Konate is going to sign or not. And I think we've given him multiple chances to sign extensions. You know, it's like, you know, I don't know what it is that he's demanding that we're not meeting. Another thing that we are interested in going for is the DM. I said, you know, we spoke about the Wharton situation and Endo not getting playing time. There have been rumors that Endo is being offered on the market too, by the way. But Carlos Baleba, Liverpool reportedly joined United and Spurs in this race for the player. Sky Sports is saying that United are looking into signing him, but will likely wait until the summer. Caught Offside said that inquiries have been knocked back and summer is more realistic. And there's more midfield noise around the league too. Apparently, and this is something that's very interesting, I don't know what Chelsea's doing, to be honest with you. But Chelsea's always involved in some crazy scheme with the players.
How many players have they got?
I know, exactly. I don't understand. They need 2 buses to move their teams around. But Tonali is linked to Chelsea. That's the Newcastle player, Tonali, the Italian. He's a good player. Yes, he's certainly. It's unique because I know a lot of Italy was getting a bad rap in the Premier League. There's been quite some time since, you know, Italian players have really made an impact. Tonali's one of those players. He certainly made an impact for Newcastle. Napoli are tracking Manu. Real are still interested in Rodri, like I said earlier. So January might not be as quiet as some people thought it might be. But real quick, do you think that we should try to force the issue for Baleba now before it becomes a bidding war in the summer? Or are you comfortable just saying, oh, let the cards kind of like, let's just wait and see what unfolds? What's your thoughts? We can go to JP and then go to Lady B.
Yeah, well, I mean, a bidding war with clubs that below us is not really a bidding war, because the player would obviously want the prestige of Champions League rather than not playing in the Champions League. And remember, after our good summer window, depending on what manager comes in as well, because, you know, I was reading on Twitter today. And you know, not everything you could take for face value on Twitter, but like you saw like Enrique denying a contract at PSG, and Liverpool looking to probably be his new challenge. And like, if we get a manager like him, and you have the likes of Isaac Foots, and you in a bidding war with somebody who is not in Champions League, we gonna win that bidding war. So yeah, I mean, it's something that we definitely need, but under this manager, I don't think they want to spend cash on that DM right now, and then we have other priorities to see about in the defense first, rather than you bringing a defensive midfielder. Right. So, yeah, I've not seen much traction from the. I see more on Wharton rather than him. So, we just had to wait and see. But like, it's very quiet for Liverpool right now, and I hoping City doesn't really going big for Guehi because I really want to get that player. Even if I have to wait for the summer and then we move on again. I really want that player's experience to come to my club and move forward. So it is 50-50 for me. If I wouldn't refuse if we get him now, you know.
Right.
Like, he's a quality player, but like priorities, I think because of the money spent over the summer and we didn't address that center back position, that is the main priority right now. So I see that coming in first before any other transfer coming in.
Okay. I have this story I would like to hear what Lady B thinks of, because there is a big shiny rumor out there that Rodrygo wants to leave Real Madrid. So I don't know, we just spoke about Junior wanting to leave Real Madrid. I don't think Real Madrid is going to let Junior and Rodrygo both leave, especially with the injury to Mbappe. But AS claimed there's interest from Arsenal, City, and Liverpool. Now, that's the kind of rumor that instantly lights up fan bases, obviously, because it's a big name. But it's also the kind of rumor that can be, I guess, real in principle while standing a little bit of impossible, really, in a January window. Because if City are in, you're competing with, obviously, the alleged, sometimes not always properly on the books, City. You're dealing with Arsenal, who are obviously in a title race currently, leading the title race, that are trying to continue to build to their project. And obviously Liverpool would be in because you're competing with financial reality, post-summer spend, and also the reality of Liverpool do need to find that eventual replacement or that eventual heir to the right wing for us if we do it. But if Rodrygo truly is available, and that's a question mark, I understand, but if he is truly available, is that a move Liverpool should even consider in January? Or is that like summer only fantasy? Like, is that something we should wait to summer and then hope that it's a reality? Lady B, what do you think? Is that something that we should really get our hopes up for?
I'm going to be a bit pessimistic.
Okay.
Yeah, normally I'm not. I like to be an optimist, but he's a big player. We're used to sort of players coming in and us blending them into a team. How would he fit into the team? If it was under Klopp, I'd say that, yeah, you could blend him in. Under Slot, I haven't got that same confidence, to be honest with you. And I think that's part of our problem with Slot at the moment. We've got players that aren't gelling yet into the team. It's taken a lot longer than we thought it would. So I'm not sure, to be honest with you, Troth, on that. If it was Klopp, I'd be saying, yeah, get him in, but not under Slot.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I know this one. This next story, I definitely want both of your answers for, because I know that Lady B, who is a regular with Brian on his channel, like I know Brian's a big fan of this next player, but Adam Wharton continues to pop up as a player that we are apparently very bullish on going for. But there is word that Real Madrid could also be in the mix. Chelsea are there, City, once again, United are interested in this player. We all know that Liverpool doesn't like to get into bidding wars. Anytime I start to hear all these big names in the player, it kind of like, makes me pause in thinking that we're actually going to really get involved in the bidding. But because a bidding war would get Palace obviously the best price, the core point of what I'm trying to get at is Wharton has certainly some elite level attention. And there's also the twist to the story that, according to Dario AS, Alexei McAllister has been added to their 5-man midfield shortlist. He's got Vintania, Enzo, Wharton, and Keith Smith are all the players that are on that 5-man shortlist. In my opinion, I think that McAllister, you can say what you want about McAllister this season. I understand that, but I think McAllister is probably the most tailor fit to join Real Madrid out of that list, in my humble opinion. But what are your feelings on Wharton? What would be your feelings if McAllister were to leave us? I don't think he'll leave us in January window, by the way. I think it's more of a summer deal. But what are some of your feelings about these reports about our interest, in Wharton and having all these other teams be involved? And what's your interest in McAllister too? Or what's your opinion about McAllister maybe leaving in the summer? I'll ask Lady B first.
Yeah, do you know what, 12? I think at one time I would have thought, because like you say, I know Brian's very big on Wharton, and I like him. Don't get me wrong, I think he's a great player. And what I like about him is he doesn't look like the sort of player who's going to get into tackles, but he's the sort of player who doesn't need to, because he reads the game well ahead of where it's going, and he directs the ball somewhere else. Very clever footballer, and I do like that about him. But for me, there's so many now. There's so many. The Premier League is it, isn't it? It doesn't matter. They used to call the French league the Farmers League, or tractors players or whatever. All of those, the series, the Italian. The Bundesliga, they've all raised the game because of the Premier League. So at one time it was the Premier League were demanding all these best players, and there was only the top 4 teams that were going to get the best. So you had a 1 in 4 chance of getting that player. We'd have a 1 in 4 chance of getting Wharton. But now, because even in the Premier League, because the Premier League's so highly thought of, for me, in the world of football, even the lower teams can attract decent players, so then that makes the competition even more difficult in the Premier League. And then if you look outside and into Europe, and Europe are looking into the Premier League thinking, that guy's decent, look at him, look what he's doing.
Right.
So so you've got Madrid and Barcelona and Bayern Munich now, and PSG. They're putting the toe in the water of the Premier League, wanting our players, or trying to get them out. So I think it's really, really difficult, and I've got a feel. I don't think we'd get Wharton. I mean, again, I'm going to say Klopp was a huge draw, like Pep Guardiola is at the moment, and always has been. He went down when they took a dip last year, didn't they, City, and so. Their attraction wasn't as good. Liverpool's attraction was brilliant. We could get anybody because of what we were doing. But our attraction this season has taken a huge dip, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And City's has gone back up, and Madrid's has never gone. Theirs is always going to be there, isn't it, at the moment?
Right.
So I don't think. I think if Wharton was making his choice, I don't think we'd be number 1 on the list. I actually think we've got to be smarter and get out looking in other areas, in in South America or other countries somewhere that there's a brilliant.
Agreed.
Yeah, who hasn't been seen, and we don't want to get into a bidding war with somebody. We want to just go out and do the business and bring somebody good in.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'd like to see us go into the South American market a little bit more than we actually do. There are some real talented players there. Yeah, definitely. JP, did you have an opinion on it, or did you want to just?
Yeah, just like what just what Benny said there. Like for me, he's quality. Wharton is quality, but however, if you get into a bidding war, I get into a bidding war with somebody like the likes of Caicedo, South American player, physical, and look how good he is at Chelsea. There are a lot of good players out there, and your scouts just have to be able to to find the right person to come in and somebody with that physicality as well in the midfield to give us a little more bite and a little more protection for the back four could also help as well. I mean, like Wharton, he doesn't strike me as the rugged central defensive midfielder that we need to go into a tackle, even though he can do it. I've seen him do it off of adrenaline and the crowd hype. But like for me, if it is you're doing a bidding war for players like that, you want to do it for a player that would significantly improve your team, right? And for me, we have players in our team, as bad as they play now, we have players in our team who can do a similar job to him. He will just bring a different dimension and a greater depth to our squad. And so you never deny quality coming to your squad. But for me, what Liverpool needs right now is that extra physicality in the midfield, and if we could get that for cheaper and without over spending on somebody like a Wharton, I don't mind. So a type of player like Caicedo, I would prefer rather than a player like Wharton, in my opinion.
Okay.
But because just like you said, 12, as bad as McAllister is playing, I know there is enough quality in there.
Exactly.
There's a player in there to say, well, just get rid of him after one bad season and then.
Yeah, I don't understand why people do that. By the way.
I mean,
I don't. When you've seen a player have
in the moment, frustration comes in. Because I watch international football a lot too, and McAllister has
he kills it.
Right.
He's had some exceptional games.
So it means that if you could do it for your country, you could do it for your club as well. It's just you need the right environment, you need the form and stuff, and you could clearly see by McAllister's interview the other day that he's getting fed up, he's getting despondent, and he's not enjoying the atmosphere. And I take it from me, I've worked in some environments before that, you don't really want to be there with our management, and you don't really want to. So it's they are human beings as well, and when you see somebody flourishing in other environments, and then they go to the next environment and they're not doing the same, you had to kind of question the environment rather than the player or the person. And I still think there's a player in McAllister there. I'm not going to be one where just throwing him away after one bad season. So that's why I would prefer to keep McAllister, get a physical type player, and just if Man City, whoever, Real Madrid want to bid for Wharton, well then go ahead, right? But my thing is more the physicality DM in the midfield.
I'm gonna mesh this last portion up together, because we're coming up on the last segment. But Owen Beck loan ended early. He's apparently rehabbing at the AXA. Another youth academy player, promising player. Whether you think he's Liverpool level or not, that's your own opinions. Harvey Elliott's situation remains messy. Obviously, Emery says there's no future at Villa, but no break clause. FIFA rules limit where he can go next. It's paperwork and negotiation with Elliott, so it's going to be interesting. I personally do bring back Elliott. I think you're bringing back a talented player, bringing back a player that we spoke of, someone that's going to bring fight and vigor to the pitch, and also someone to play for the badge, obviously. And also, I do like Elliott to possibly be able to give a bit of a relief to Wirtz in that 10 role. And not only that, you're bringing back a homegrown player. That's big. We do need to re-fortify the number of homegrown players that we have on the team. But there is one rumor that is finally being put to bed, and that is Liverpool have reportedly dropped interest in Sven Botman because of persistent injury concerns. I think that's a very sensible decision. You don't invest in a question mark. We have enough question marks on our team already, you know. I don't think you're going to bring in a center back that is really like is involved in those measures. Is there anyone? Is any of those players of interest that you would, that you'd want to talk on before we move on to the final segment, which is the special player focus segment? I have. Any of you? Botman, Owen Beck, any of these players? Maybe even Harvey Elliott. Do you want to speak on that real quick?
Isn't Beck Rush's nephew, isn't it? Or have I got that wrong?
Oh, Ian Rush's nephew? He might be.
I think he is. I'm not Chattel probably told us. I thought he was. I'm not sure. I know he did have a nephew there who showed great promise, and then he went out on loan, didn't he? So I don't know if it was him or not. But Harvey Elliott, if he's going to come back, if he is going to come back, Harvey Elliott. Unfortunately, he hasn't had a lot of game time, has he? For Villa. So it's not like he's coming back, with a new set of skills apart from training with them and knowing their training habits. That there's not much else that he's coming back with. But like you say, he is homegrown for us, and we do need extra cover on the bench, at least. So I would like to think Harvey, if he is coming back, would want to prove himself for once and for all and say, look, this is why you should keep me. This is how good I am. Yeah. But I haven't got that. I haven't got that confidence, to be honest with you. I do think we can't go wrong in having him as a squad player.
Can I ask you a quick question then? I'm sorry to interject, but I want to ask you. You say you don't have the confidence. Do you not have the confidence in Harvey, or do you not have the confidence that Arne Slot's going to give him the opportunity to do it?
I think Harvey, until he got that injury, that really bad injury, I think he was amazing. I don't think he ever played as well afterwards. So whether that's going to...
Yeah, the Fulham game, or I think it was Fulham or Leeds, which was one of the two.
Yeah, and up to then he was like Rio. He was the great hope for us, wasn't he? And then all of a sudden, he struggled coming back. Unlike Verge managed to come back and managed to turn it around, but Harvey has never looked like the same player for me. I love his heart. I love the way he loves the club and everything else. And you would want him. We'd all be wanting him to come back and do it and show everybody and say, look, this is why I deserve my place. And if he did, he would get the backing of everybody. But I don't think that I can't see that happening, to be honest with you, Charles. I think he'll come back and just go straight out for sale again or on loan. But I think we're going to have to do something with him to raise his profile anyway, if they want to get some money for it.
Yeah, agreed. Definitely agreed. I guess all of what we've just spoken about Liverpool is perfect for this final segment, because one player that is sitting right in the middle of outgoings to create space, or maybe a player that's getting neglected or getting mistreated by our coach, that is the Italian on our squad. Well, we have two Italians, but Federico Chiesa is officially a January focus again, because you've got competing reports. One side saying Liverpool haven't been in contact with Juventus and view him as important. He's featured in the last 5 games. Another side saying Juventus have started talks with Liverpool over a loan move, and Chiesa is open to returning. And then you've got Roma reportedly wanting to revamp their forward line, and Chiesa is on their list too. I'd also like to say that there have been reports saying that Liverpool is saying a loan move is a non-starter. They want a permanent move if it's going to be a move at all. So it's something very interesting to me why this story just won't go away. Chiesa's I'm bringing JK. Chiesa's career arc is dramatic. Obviously, he was a star at Fiorentina. He was a star at. I think he was a beloved player at Juventus. Injuries and form problems kind of complicated that. Obviously, Thiago Motta arrives and basically says no thanks. Juventus sell him cheap. Liverpool get him. He wins a Premier League with us. I think he wins some of our hearts, by the way, in the presence of what he brings to the pitch. He seems to be a fighter. He seems to be all about, playing for the badge. It's something that we ask of all our players, basically. But at Anfield, he still lives on the fringes. When he comes off the bench, he's often been an effective super sub. But his minutes per game or assists are minimal, and fans have taken to him, I think, especially like I said. But the question becomes, what is Arne Slot? What does Arne Slot see that the fans aren't seeing, basically, that is preventing him from getting on the pitch? Because even with Salah absent, even when Cody was ill or hurt, actually, Slot still didn't lean into choosing Chiesa, not as much as people expected, at least. I'm going to welcome JK to the panel and offer him this question. How you doing, JK?
Hi,
All
Jack.
good, bro.
Big up, JK.
How blessed of JP and as well. Hope you're cool. Big up Lee Biscuit as well in the chat. He do everyone else in the chat as well.
Yeah,
for me, bro.
Wait, look. Let me just ask you a question. Let me ask you the question. Is this a trust issue with Slot, a system issue, or do you think this is simply a player who doesn't fit this coach's long-term plan? He's just not a fit for this team.
Like when you look at Chiesa as a person and the way he portrays himself as a professional, he fits Liverpool to a T, He's just Arne Slot, bro. Yeah. When you look at Arne Slot's subs, and when you look at Helio's question about would people like Trent Alexander and Curtis get a chance if Arne Slot they were coming through in that, I don't think they would.
No, they probably wouldn't.
You know what I mean? So that tells you everything.
Yeah, I don't think that Slot would have laid the plan or laid the groundwork for, the eventual replacement of our right back of being that of Trent Alexander-Arnold. I agree with that completely.
Do you know, if I could use an analogy, if if you see a baby who wants a bottle and the bottle's within its grasp, but it's just not quite there, and he can't grab the bottle or a biscuit, he wants a biscuit, but the biscuit's just out of his touch and the baby's grasping out for it. I feel like that with Chiesa. You know that the bottle or the biscuit or whatever is there, and you know it's going to do you good, but you just can't get hold of it. And I know. I mean, it seems like a mad analogy, but it's like we all think there's got to be a player in Chiesa, and we all think he's got to do good things for Liverpool, and we don't want him to go off without us having seen that promise. It's all the promises there, but none of us can actually ever get to see the end result because he gets whisked on and whisked off, or 5 minutes here or 5 minutes there. And it's like you're so frustrated because you feel like, okay, give him 2 games, and if he's rubbish, never play him again, and we'll all say, well done, Slot, you were right. But not just seeing him for these tiny appearances where he shows us great promise, and then he gets benched again. Mm-hmm. It's very frustrating as a fan, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I'm all about that as well. I understand exactly what you're saying because just give him a shot. I mean, look, you gave. I guess maybe we should have taken a little bit more note at the way he treated Kwanzaa, in the sense of he gave Kwanzaa all of like a half to prove himself, and then it was never, you're not seeing the pitch again. I don't
Yeah.
necessarily believe that was a proper treatment of Kwanzaa, especially since there's talk about us going back in for Kwanzaa now that he's starting to perform well in the Bundesliga. And I don't know if would this coach have stuck with Nathaniel Klein, for instance, and never gave Trent an opportunity? Who knows? It seems like an interesting. It seems like this coach has a certain procedure of embedding players, and it's different than what we're used to. I know at the beginning of the year, for instance, I didn't want to see Kirkes start, despite the fact that I know he's a talented player and the likes. I wanted to see him be like eventually embedded into the team, as opposed to just thrown into the team as being an everyday starter. Simply because he was going to have to get used to playing 3 games or every 3 days or something along those lines. He was going to have to get used to a new system, used to a new role. Chiesa isn't a young player. He is 27 going on 28, I believe. He's a player that looks like he's hungry to make a difference and can adjust and adapt. It's uniquely put with this whole Chiesa thing. I guess if the twist of this all is if Liverpool need to sell to free up non-homegrown slots, Chiesa probably is the first name on that list. But considering the lack of forwards or offensive weapons that we have, do you think it's a wise move right now to put Chiesa on the chopping block? We're talking about bringing in defensive players. Everyone wants to see us. We don't have any real wiggle room to bring in non-homegrown players in this team.
Do you remember when Chiesa kicked the ball off the line to Ali the other week, and you just thought, what other striker or forward would be there at that moment in time doing that? He reads the game, Chiesa, doesn't he? He knows the game inside out. He knows where to be on the pitch at the right time, and we're only seeing tiny glimpses of it. And okay, he's got to have a fitness problem. That's all you can think of, is why he's not on there. But God, I'd give anything to see him play a full game, and even then I wouldn't judge him, because we've got other players who have a rubbish game. We still put them on the next time.
Yeah.
You just want to see him. You just want to see what he's capable of, don't you?
Yeah, I'm in the camp of saying, when it comes to players, at least, and I understand some people might say, "Oh, he got his chance. Oh, he didn't make the most of it. Move on." And I go, that's not a fair evaluation. My personal opinion. I don't think it's a fair evaluation for players. You don't just say, "Oh, you had one chance," and you're not Eminem. It's not like you have one shot. And that's it. That's it, and it's a wrap. You have to give a player an opportunity to kind of get into the groove. I think give him like a good run of games. And if he doesn't make it in that run of games, then you can say, okay, it's not working, But if you're just going to give him one shot and that's it, then that's a little bit. That's a little harsh.
Like for me, bro, when you look at the bigger picture, if it hasn't happened already, it ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And that's like the same way in, are we going to play 4th, 5th gear football and smash teams in 20 minutes, 4-0? No, we're not. So that's, for me, Arnie Slot, bro. I don't know how much more I can take of that. Because for me, when you look at the colossal of our squad, the names in there, well, that's goals galore. Ozil, Ekatike, Salah, Gakpo, Chiesa, Wirtz. That's a lot of goals there. So I'm just seeing 1st gear, 2nd gear football, side to side. People like Chiesa, even Rio, not really getting a chance. They'll be involved in the FA Cup game against Barnsley. That's no doubt. Rio, Naoni, or Chiesa even.
Yeah.
And that's a shame, because for me, Chiesa's lost when he's played recently. Do you remember when he first used to come on as sub? He used to smash it, run, goal, whatever. And what happened was, there's all thinking, us thinking, you know what? He's going to get starts now. And he was ready to start, bro. And what happened was, Slot didn't do it. And what's happened is, he's sort of lost that now. Every time he's coming on sub now, he's not really affecting the game at all. Let's be real. You know what I mean,
get
bro?
what you're saying. He's kind of smoldered the fire a little bit, maybe in
yeah.
Okay.
Like his fire's being sort of turned down, you know.
Yeah.
Arne Slot can't handle. He's not very good at man management, in my opinion. If he was, that Salah news wouldn't have broke out. You know, that Salah mess that we had.
Yeah.
That's a prime example.
Do you know what, JK? There were two things. The first thing is, one point, if I was the manager, obviously I'm never going to be the manager, but if I was the manager,
who knows? I'm holding out for that. I'm holding out for that, Lady B. There you go.
I'll have Lady B at there.
Yeah, I think you might do a better job than Slot at this point. I say that much, but who knows?
No, do you know, if I was the manager, the first thing I would do is if Chiesa, he doesn't think he's fit enough to run, you know, to play a full game and everything else, but he knows he's a good player. I would put him in with the unders, and not just Chiesa, any other player like that who needs to be playing. I'd put them in with them to get his fitness levels up, but also to be for the unders to be learning from him, you know, and you know, look at the quality of this play we're playing with. They'd strive to be as good as him. He'd be keeping playing time and then come back in, because if you're going to just sit him on the bench, what's the point? So that's one thing, and I'd do that with any player who was in that position. But the other thing is, I was going to say, just for what JK's just said, do you know what? Slot at the moment, I just think he, in trying to look like he's got control, it speaks volumes to me, because he threw Trent under the bus, and you know, I benched it. He wasn't good in training. I benched him. So like, I've got control over Trent. He's done the same with Mo. You know, Mo's called him out, and you know and then you know he's had his words about Mo. Quansah was a prime example. You know, bad example. Gets shipped out. I got rid of him. Bad attitude. And you know, like, and this seems to be Slot wanting to prove that he's in control and he can sort the players out. And that to me shows a weakness, not a strength, because that's not how you handle your players.
And the thing is, Bernadette, what you said there, all the names you mentioned was that they were all Klopp's boys. Trent, Quansah, Salah, all Klopp's boys. Harvey Elliott, we forgot to mention Harvey Elliott in there as well. The way he's treated Harvey Elliott, right, for me, fucking disgusting. Sorry for swearing, but Elliott gave his heart for the club.
Yeah.
The guy would play for free. If you rang him up today and said, listen, lad, do you want to play against Arsenal? You'll be on the subs bench. He'd be like, you know what? I'll do it for free. That's Harvey Elliott. And what he did to him, I thought, you know what? Go to Villa? Why? Why is he going to Villa for? What's he going to get at Villa? Bundy is getting more game time than him. So the way he's treated Harvey Elliott, he could have, and the press conferences, whenever he's been asked about Harvey Elliott, Slot's not been a top lad and said, you know what? Harvey Elliott's a Liverpool player. Yeah, it's not worked out at Villa, but right now he's a Liverpool player. We'll take him back.
Yeah.
You understand my point? That's a real manager. A real guy who cares for the club. Not a fucking guy who... if you don't want Harvey Elliott to play for you, bro, we've had 3 goalkeepers as subs.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Yeah.
So you're trying to tell me you'd rather have them extra 2 goalkeepers and then Harvey Elliott? I'd rather have Harvey Elliott all day long. I don't care.
But JK as well, on the other hand, what he's done with Curtis Jones is, you know, like he's saying to Curtis Jones, ground zero, you know, like you didn't do it well under Klopp. I'm new. I'm going to judge you now as you are. Slow possessive football. And Curtis Jones is bragging about it. You know, like I can be like another Gerrard. I want to captain the team, but you know I'm going to control the football. and he does it in by killing the game off for me. Slow side passes, back passes. Occasionally, we have seen. Okay, I'm not going to destroy him because he has. I still think he's a very talented footballer, Curtis Jones. Don't think he's been played in the right way at all. And I think you do see good signs of him at the moment, going forward in different things. But for every good play he does, he then slows it down or back passes or hesitates or loses the ball. So for me, he's like Slot's disciple. Slot is going to look at him, at Gakpo, and Gakpo can really irritate people, sometimes. But there is disciples, and anyone else who was a Klopp disciple in Slot's mind is out the door. Doesn't get
out
a
the door.
chance.
There you go.
I think that's the one. I think that's the again. I know I initially said I believe that Slot has had a crazy run with us. He's definitely, unfortunately, turned, I think, believers into doubters, and I also think that it's not in Slot's best interest to have taken out, I guess, the worker mentality of Liverpool from the team. I think that, like, you look at it, the players that have been pushed out of the club or moved on from by the club, all those players were like the workhorse engines of our team, very, very important components of our team. They might not have gotten the statistic, GA, all that type of stuff that makes people, say, oh, they're fantastic players. They bring this, they bring that. Some of those players were players like your Harvey Elliott's, like your Luchos, like your Nunez's, that just simply put in a real day's work of tracking back, playing defense, always being consistent on the press, those kinds of players. And all of a sudden you take those players out and you try to get this possession based ball that we're looking at, and it's a little bit boring in a lot of people's minds. And I think that's kind of simplest. But I know that Juventus returned. The unique thing about this Juventus thing about Chiesa is this. The angle that is now here is that they have a new manager in Luciano Spalletti. There's the old manager is gone that he had problems with. He has real connection to Juventus. Juventus still is the big team in Italy. Let's not get it twisted. And the different opinion on Chiesa, he would have certainly a different opinion on Chiesa than the previous manager. Juventus attacking reinforcements haven't hit like they expected. They're talking about getting rid of certain players, like their striker Vlahovic is looking to be on the chopping block possibly. But some Chiesa looks like a familiar solution, and probably because they've seen that the player has worth. He's just not being utilized at Liverpool. And it's really a fork in the road for Chiesa. Do you stay at Liverpool, fight for minutes in a system you're not fully trusted in? Or do you go back to Italy, where you're understood culturally, tactically, but where expectations will be brutal? Let's not get it twisted. There will be a lot thrown onto the shoulders of Chiesa. Expectations will be enormous. And then you can also go to Roma if you like. If it's just about going back to Italy, you could go back to Roma. That's another path entirely. I understand that. I'm going to ask the panel before we bring a close to the show. What do you think is the best move for Chiesa? What do you think is the best move for Liverpool? In your opinion, not in, you don't have to look at it from Slot's angle or anything like that. What is the best move for the player, and what do you think is the best move for the team, in your opinion? We'll go JP, JK, and then Lady P.
I mean, like JK said it. If it hasn't happened already, it's not going to magically change and happen. And I think the best thing at this point is for both player and the club is to let Chiesa move on. We not going to see this guy get a run of games. I mean, we have Salah soon to come back. We have players who Frimpong and they are getting fitter, and you see this manager, he doesn't care if you're a specialist in a position. I rather put Szoboszlai, who is out of position, on the right wing rather than start you, kind of thing, right? And that's what this manager typically does. And I mean, Chiesa will not be getting any fair shot at Liverpool anytime soon in the future. So for me personally, for Chiesa and for Liverpool, is the best thing, because you want to kind of, when I say Liverpool, you want to kind of get Chiesa out of the way so that he's not there anymore. So nobody's talking about, oh, he should be starting Chiesa and these kind of things, because it's not going to happen. Every time since Chiesa came in, the conversation was, why we not playing Chiesa? This is going on for months now, and we in 2026, and we still talking about why we not playing Chiesa. So just like JK said, we could be in 2027. You know, his contract coming down to end to get renewal. Why we not playing Chiesa? You know, so for me, see what money you could get from him. I mean, I have seen Chiesa played in the past, and I was a fan. So like when he was the only signing for us that summer, I was pleased, and I wanted to see him play. I wanted to get excited, you know, seeing him, Luis Diaz playing on the separate wings, and, you know, kind of seeing them terrorizing the English defenders. But like for me, he never got his chance at Liverpool, and he is the perfect Liverpool player, wears his heart on his sleeve, give his all for the badge, and he came in a bad time where he met the wrong manager, in my opinion. This manager does know to manage players. He prefers to play players in the wrong position over the specialists, and that sends a real bad message to the dressing room and certain players, that if you don't respect my craft or my speciality, what sense is me giving and playing for you if you don't even respect me enough to play me in my position over somebody who is not even their secondary position, their tertiary or fourth position or makeshift position. So for me, just for Chiesa, I mean, if he could get a ear listening to the stream, I would say thanks, buddy. Really appreciate all the hard work that you gave for Liverpool. Good servant for the club. Sorry it didn't. Sorry, on behalf of the
it didn't
Liverpool
work out.
Sorry it didn't work out. I know you are quality, and I wish you the best going forward in your future endeavors. But for me, the best thing for the club right now is for Chiesa to go. And I say it now with a heavy heart, because he's actually one of the I would say, even though you know he haven't played a lot for Liverpool, in my opinion, when you see that type of heart that Chiesa has, and the effort and the professionalism that he brings, he's actually, if he got the chance, would have been a cult hero for us, hands down. Right, I mean, the guy hasn't played much and has a song, right? So that's
that's big
of the type of person and player he is. So that's just my little run there.
Okay. Yeah, JK, did you have an opinion on player perspective, club perspective, what we should do? What should happen next?
First, big up Abdul and Red Armchair Sport, bro. I hope you're cool. And I liked what here we go. Peter wrote, from gegen pressing to do pressing. You couldn't put any better, bro. Couldn't put any better.
Oh, I see it.
Yes, but how funny is that, bro? When I seen that, I couldn't stop laughing. That's too funny. Look, bro, the Chiesa situation. Have you noticed with Arne Slot, there's always player drama. If it ain't Salah, it's Virgil. If it ain't Virgil, it's Trent. If it ain't Trent, it's Chiesa. If it ain't Chiesa, it's Gakpo. There's always something going on. Jurgen Klopp never had that.
McAllister as well, JK.
Yeah, McAllister.
Yeah.
Rio, Kwanzaa, the classic Kwanzaa, first game of the season, bang, get your ass off the pitch, man. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, man. Slot, right? If you want to be portrayed as a ruthless manager, you're not going to get a lot of friends. Okay? The Liverpool way isn't that way. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Jurgen Klopp lasted 9 years at Liverpool. Why? Because he knew what it's all about. You know what I mean? Never ever disrespected the club or player when he did his press conferences. Look at Arne Slott's press conferences, bro. You know? So the Chiesa thing is one topic that's doing my head in. Nunes. Yeah, like Nunes and Diaz, and who else is there? Chiesa, another guy. What do you notice about them three players there? Diaz, Darwin, Chiesa. They're free-spirited football players. They don't follow rules. They just play the way they feel they need to play. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. They're expressive, yeah.
Slot's nightmare, that is. Darwin couldn't get out of here quick enough for Slot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I've watched recently a few videos of last season where Darwin was involved. Bro, the energy he used to bring to the pitch, man.
Yeah.
Bro,
Yeah.
I'm telling you now. But that is Arne Slot's nightmare, that. Arne Slot is a bit of a control freak in that way of you got to let people breathe when you play football, Arnie. You got to get you got to balance it right. The way you think discipline, save energy, fair enough. But on the other hand, what's the point of saving all that energy and then drawing the game? Instead of just putting your foot down for fourth gear, fifth gear, as soon as the second half whistle goes like you did last season. We've even lost that, bro. Last season, first half, not great. Second half, smash teams. So, the Chiesa situation. Look, Chiesa, he wants to play in the World Cup if they qualify. They'll probably invite him to come. Because for me, he's a quality player. I love Chiesa, and he should go play for Italy. But he probably wants to play football every week now, bro. He's fit.
Hope. Yeah, he's fit. Yeah.
So we've done him a favour. We've got him fit.
Yeah.
At least we've done something for him. That's one thing we've done for him. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if we've gotten I think we've paid something like 12 million or something like that for him. I think the price that was being reported was 6 million or something like that they were offering. Italian clubs don't spend money when it comes to players, really.
They're offering 6 million for Chiesa?
He's worth more.
Pardon?
Yeah,
oh my days. I've heard some funny stuff in my life, but that's just taking that. I'd rather keep him.
Yeah, it's like 6.5 or 6.8.
Oh, that's a joke. There. That's a joke.
What are your thoughts? Yeah. What are your thoughts, Lady B? What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, do you know what? JK, you stole me thunder a little bit because I was just going to say, you know the way we've all wondered why he doesn't play Chiesa, and you'd scratch in your head, and I was just going to say, but you said it before me. I wonder if he is too expressive, Chiesa. You know that I'm going back to that. Goal line save he made. Which other player, striker or attacker, would have been on that goal line, reading the game, and kicking the ball away to save Alisson, and he was only been on the pitch a few minutes, but it was Chiesa. Chiesa plays all over the pitch, doesn't he? I think Slot tries to overcoach the players.
There you go.
And they lose the spontaneity. And he's a very spontaneous player, Chiesa. He's explosive, isn't he? And I think that's the problem. I think Slot's seen that in training with Chiesa. I'm not. It's easy just saying that. We know he wasn't fit when he came in. We know he had issues, but we got him fit. And I just think that when he's been on the pitch or when he's been in training, he maybe hasn't taken instruction the way that Slot's wanted. So Slot's thrown his dummy out of the cot, and thought, well, no, he's not playing then. He'll sit on the bench, and I'll just bring him on. as an explosive sub when I need him. I don't know. I'm just saying that's just a thought from me. But the other part of that, which really upsets me, is that the old Liverpool, when they had a player that they wanted to sell or knew would be going in the summer, out of respect for the player and out of respect for the club, and the fans and the coffers of the club, they would showcase that player at some stage, especially when you think that we won the league last year. There were times in those games afterwards when he could have played regularly, every player he didn't want. Chiesa could have been played, Harvey Elliott could have been played regularly, and boost their value. So the player went off with a happy, with a good result that they're moving off somewhere else, but the respect of there's been a good value got for them. That money's gone to the club. The fans have thought we did right by the player, and the players have thought, well, yeah, look, I'm going here and these rate me, they paid me this much. But instead, we leave them on the bench, sitting mouldering, and then just offer them off, end up sending them out for loan anywhere we can, trying to do something. Okay, people would say to me, well, Kwanzaa, look what we got for Kwanzaa, look what we got for Doak. But I'm talking about talking about the players that we thought had a future with us, and we never got to see that future.
Yeah.
That's it.
When you think about it, what we got for Kwanzaa, he would have been ideal just to be on the bench. Not going to moan if he ain't starting.
Right now, look, you're talking about Lady B was talking about maybe a future of Ordonez or someone like that partnering with Leone. I could have seen a future with Kwanzaa partnering with Leone. I thought that could have been a future center half pairing. And it's certainly something apparently that we're interested in maybe going back in for Kwanzaa. There's like some clause that we can go back in for the player. In
40 million, I think, isn't it? I've been going to pay 40 million for him or something.
Yeah, it's just crazy. The fact
ridiculous.
He was already at the club. Yeah, he's already at the club. So I mean, like, what did we just? We basically just paid 35-40 million for him, or for him to learn how to be a better center half in another team, and now he's got to adjust back to Premier League standards. It's a weird one.
Bro, the Kwanzaa one for me is probably everything that's happened with Slot. The way Kwanzaa was treated in that game against Ipswich, did it make a difference? Well, we won the game at the end. But realistically, Kwanzaa pre that season started he's the future of Liverpool centre backs. They
were calling him VVQ.
There you go.
There were people calling him VVQ.
There you go. So for me, Slot took that player there who was potentially going to be a top player. I seen it in him. I thought if this lad concentrates on football and don't whatever off the field or whatever, you know what I mean, go the wrong way, this guy can make it. And I was really impressed in the way Klopp brought him in. So that was another reason why Slot needed him out, because Klopp brought him in. You know what I mean? Through the youth system and stuff. I'm surprised Conor Bradley gets games. I'm surprised he ain't be fucking shipped off. But all in all, the way Kwanzaa was being treated showed me a side of Slot I didn't really like. Because for me... Yeah, go on.
Sorry, Jack. I was going to say, I think Slot reacts to public opinion too much. When everyone was calling Mo out, saying Mo needs to be dropped. No, it's disgusting he's not being dropped. There's an awful lot of people wanting Mo dropped. So the next thing is he drops him. Didn't drop him before when everybody else was saying, what I'm trying to say is he didn't read the game and think Mo needs to be dropped for this game. He's played 2 bad games. He left him on until the cry of the crowd and the fans were saying, bench Mo. And then he does it, and then he comes out in public and puts Mo under the bus by letting everybody know Mo's not good enough to play, you know. And then he did the same with Kwanzaa, because people had said, look at Kwanzaa, look at the face on him, he's upset, you know, because he was taken off and he mentally hasn't got the right attitude. The next thing is he jumps on the bandwagon slot and, you know, he's more or less saying he's got the wrong attitude, he's up for sale. I think that's what he does. I think he reacts to everybody, and then the player gets thrown under the bus for it.
Mad. The way Kwanzaa, for me, I was so happy to see a lad coming through like him. To see now, he didn't even play for Liverpool, and Trent, it is and Darwin, Diaz, everyone's gone, bro.
Yeah. I did say
no
like
wonder
this.
We ain't clicking this season. We're not clicking this season. Why? Too many changes.
Well, that's what McAllister said. That's what McAllister said. He said there's too many changes. McAllister said that in an interview. He said there's too many changes in the team, but he's not going to talk on it because he doesn't want to get in trouble, basically. Look, you know, there's a lot of question marks, I think. There's more question marks than answers, I think, with the club currently. And that's an issue. That's an issue because we certainly believe that we had a lot of foundation to build off of. I saw the quote in the chat saying we had a foundation, we had a house built. All we had to do was make, you know, a renovation here or there, you know. We didn't have to like redo a whole, like, all we're doing is renovating the kitchen or renovate the bathroom, you know. We didn't have to put on an extension to the house, you know.
Rip a hole in the back wall and leave it wide open.
Yeah. That's exactly what it seems like we've done with this team. And, you know, I think there's a lot to be said to those players that were called, you know, bozos, or they're called donkeys, or they're all the different, you know, disrespectful names and analogies that were dropped on some of these players that brought us a Premier League title. You know, we're part of that team, and not just bystanders, active participants in that pursuit. It really does bring some validation of maybe we need to recognize sometimes that players, sometimes players can bring contributions, even if it's not exactly, you know, the overwhelming goals and assists categories that, you know, that you need more and more from some of these players. Some of these players can sometimes you don't have to have a, you know, world-class player to get some measure out of it. You know, we're right at the end. We're at this end of this show here, but you know, I'll just bring this statement up real quick because I was watching another show. I know some people tell me not to watch as much YouTube as I do, but I have a tendency to do this. And it was a part of our YouTube Liverpool community. And on the show, there's a certain individual. I've brought his name up before. He's a comedian. And I think he should stick to comedy because some of his takes are jokes, in my opinion. But he was basically really lambasting over Curtis Jones's role, or even not even role, but he was basically saying the only reason why Curtis Jones is a part of this team is because he's a Scouser. I think that's a terrible take. I think that's a horrible, horrible take. Personally, I think it's an honor as a Scouser to play for your home team. I know it would be an honor for me not only to play for Liverpool. I'm not a Scouser myself, but it'd be an honor to play for my home city as well. You know, and I think it takes on a little bit more pride in doing so. But it goes beyond that for Curtis Jones. I think Curtis Jones has been exceptional this year. I think he stepped up his game this year. I think that sometimes you get rushed into agendas. You can see people with their agendas when they bring players to kind of like be, you know, throw into the conversation that don't necessarily need to be there. And it was an interesting conversation they were having, but I don't know. It was just something on my mind that I definitely wanted to comment on before we left this conversation. So if you guys agree, you think Combs really doesn't have a place, or maybe it's his Make-A-Wish type situation that he's a part of this team. I think Curtis Jones has played well. I don't know if the panel agrees or not, but I think Curtis Jones played well this year.
Yeah. For me, I agree. I'm a person. I'm a professional. I give people their respect for their craft. I am one. I am one person that I will never. I could have my opinion on a player. But I will never disrespect that player's craft to a point where, you know, it makes it looks like that player is inefficient at his job. And I also like to give credit where credit is due. Me personally, I am not a Curtis Jones fan in terms of him being the answer to my midfield. I believe that there are more quality players out there that I would prefer to Curtis Jones in my midfield. So that's where I am not a fan of him being my overall starting midfielder. However, just like Harvey Elliott, and I said this countless times, he's a very good squad player and somebody
exactly.
who can benefit and help Liverpool. So in terms of me not wanting to start him, I still don't want to get rid of him because he has the potential to be a great squad player, and he showed it last season as well. The times when Curtis Jones came in last season when we were going for the title, he actually put in some great performances. Chelsea at Anfield and West Ham away, just to name a few, right? And this season, boy, oh boy, I mean, McAllister has dropped off a cliff. And I will be biting your hand off to give me Curtis Jones starting.
Can I ask you a quick question? I'm going to interject this because that was the line of reasoning that this individual threw into the mix. He was trying to say Curtis Jones isn't Liverpool level. He shouldn't even be a Liverpool player. He said, like I said, he's only on the team because he's a Scouser. But then he also said that the only reason why he's playing is because McAllister is so bad. And I think that's kind of being dishonest and disingenuous with the conversation, considering I think, yes, McAllister probably would be starting. I understand that. I also think that you still have to put in the work. It's not you still have to put in the work to get the honor of starting. I just think that it's like, sometimes you get into these conversations with people and like, you can tell.
I know what you're saying. I mean, like for me, that's what I'm saying. It coming from me, 12. I saying it openly. I'm not Curtis Jones fan, especially in terms of him starting in my midfield. Okay. So I can be objective. I am partial what I'm saying, but I respect him as a squad player. So when people want to say Curtis Jones is well, he could go off a cliff, he could do this. He has been very successful for us and probably one of our shining lights this season. And
he has been,
and that is not by fluke. That is quality showing. That is him being able to go on the pitch and doing his job and trying to get us to get to another level. Like I said in the Fulham game, it was Curtis Jones and Wirtz were the only two people creating chances, right? Curtis Jones sent a through ball to Cody Gakpo. He was the one who played that ball for Gakpo to miss, right? So he was, if it wasn't for him and Wirtz, we would have no chances created in that game. And you can't overlook that fact because McAllister was on the pitch as well, and he created nothing. Right. And he's been doing that for a while. So when people want to say he only playing because this one is right, it kind of, as you say, disingenuous. And I mean, I by no means And I always tell people this coming from me, by no means, because I'm not a Curtis Jones fan. Me personally, I grew up in the era of Gerrard, Mascherano, Xabi Alonso. So
Sure.
So I've seen quality Liverpool midfielders before, and I know what I look for in my Liverpool type midfielder. However, I said before, Curtis Jones, he has heart. He's a great squad player, and he could do a job for my club in if players
As a
get
squad
injured
player.
or rotation as a squad player. So I will not disrespect him in that manner.
Good.
Because I respect professionals, I respect their craft, and that's just my little take on the Curtis Jones situation, because he has been one of Liverpool's best players this season.
He has been, and I have a separate question actually for JK. So I'll ask Bernie, Lady B, do you have an opinion? As in, I mean, you're someone that has had time growing up in the Liverpool area. You know, do you take offense to what that kind of statement? Oh, he's only in the team because he's a Scouser, or or do you respect? The fact that maybe he's not world class, but he's putting in work,
Yeah, do you know what? I always think it's a shame, because I want anybody who plays for Liverpool, who's come up through the academy, or who's from Liverpool. We've always been that sort of club, that
exactly.
If you had if you had a Liverpool player or a couple of them, more, you really want 2 or 3.
Yeah, you really root for them. Yeah,
because a lot of fans don't realise that if you have that core in the team, they will drag the fans, and the fans will look at, with Stevie Gerrard, the fans fire up for a Liverpool player, so a Liverpool homegrown player, they do, it lifts the whole club. So with that in mind, I really wanted Curtis Jones, to do well. However, I'm a realist, and this has been his best season since he's played for us, I think. And I've always said he's got skills, Curtis. I haven't seen a better player for us who can tackle and take a ball cleanly off off the opposition without getting a yellow card. That's always been Curtis for me. He's always had that. I haven't seen a lot of that lately, I'll be honest, but his technical skills were always really good for me. But I don't think he's an intelligent football player. I think I actually think he thinks he's better than he is, technically, football wise. And although his heart is for Liverpool, and I do appreciate that, I agree with JP. I don't think he's anything better than a squad player for us. Don't think we should sell him. I think he should stay there as a squad player, because he'll come on and give you moments of really good play. But then his consistency will go off and he'll disappear out the game. And that's always been the problem for me. And I think under Klopp, he knew that, because Klopp had said to him, this is your last season with us if you don't prove yourself.
Yeah.
And he came out and said that himself. He said, Klopp, the managers told me this is my last season. And then the next thing is Klopp's gone and Slot's in. And what did Curtis say? When he was interviewed, he said, I'm really pleased because this manager said it's ground zero. He's not going to judge me on my past. I've got a chance to start from here. So he's come in again and tried to have a go at it, but he's 27 years of age nearly. And he's still trying to prove himself in the club. So he should be a squad player and nothing more. Because if it takes you that long and you've come through the academy to try and earn, he hasn't got a number one place nailed out for himself that he plays week in, week out, like Mo Salah or Virgil van Dijk or Alisson. And if he hasn't got that by now, he's never going to get it. People are kidding themselves. But I do think that guy was just, he was disrespectful. You shouldn't say that about him. Yeah. But those are my views on him,
Yeah. He is 24, not 27, but I get what you're saying.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. He trying to age him a little bit before his time. But yeah, I get what you're saying. It seems like he's been there for longer. It's probably because he's been with the team for as long as he has. So maybe that's why. It's the same thing with like Harvey Elliott. You don't really realize that he's still very young. He's still playing for the under 21s or the England under 21 team or something like that. So yeah, that is the case. But my final question, and this is because we're already almost at the 3-hour mark here for JK. For someone, this was another point brought up on this other on Mance's show, and basically it was kind of a jab or kind of like a backhanded slap towards Dominic Szoboszlai. I saved this because I know that you weren't necessarily you were optimistic, then you weren't a fan, and then you recognized that Dominic Szoboszlai is a player that has developed into a player that you can give the thumbs up to. Mm-hmm. Dominic Szoboszlai was referenced as it was said that our team, it's a measure of how bad our team is that Dominic Szoboszlai is the best player on the team currently. How do you respond to a statement like that? It's a weird statement, I think. I think Dom Szoboszlai is a very talented player. I don't understand why someone would try to make it as like, a backhanded compliment in essence.
Look, for me, Szoboszlai should be the last thing in our talks, because for me, he's the only guy who's actually tried this season. Mm-hmm. And like for me, remember last season at the end, I was like, Szoboszlai and Slot, I'm not really happy with both of them.
Right, yeah.
And Slot he had a poor end of last season, Slot. But for me, Szoboszlai out of the three midfielders, Gravenberch, McAllister, and him, he was the worst out of the three. The other two had a great seasons last season. Szoboszlai not so great. This season, because I think Wirtz coming in sort of kicked his ass a little bit. And he's thinking, my spot might be under scrutiny here. Hence why you're seeing a better Dom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good shout. Yeah,
I call just a trait in there. I called that earlier on in the season. Mm-hmm. I said Dominic Szoboszlai would be one of Liverpool's best players this season because he has competition now in Greece, and it is showing. Yeah.
Very important. I just thought it was an interesting comment, like as if saying Dominic Szoboszlai for a player. I've heard people say Dominic Szoboszlai should be our captain by some people out there in the community. Excuse me, but to say because he's been pretty much our best player, most consistent player, or maybe even our best player this season. It was like they were trying to make it sound like, how our team is so bad. Dominic Szoboszlai is our best player. That's how bad our team is. And I was like, can it not be just Dominic Szoboszlai is a very talented player, and he's just at the moment playing, it more informed than our other very talented players? Why does it have to be like a shot at Dominic Szoboszlai?
It's been immense for us, as a football player, not just for us. As a football player, if you look at him, he's been. People have even likened him to Gerrard. That's a big, ask, isn't it, for Gerrard? But you can actually see, he has been all over the pitch. His heat map, or whatever you want to call it.
Oh, it's sick. Yeah.
He's been everywhere. And he got put onto the right back and got man of the match twice, wasn't he, in right back? He's been instrumental for us, I think, in a lot of the wins that we had. I think it is disrespectful to say that about him. He is a very good player, and hopefully he's going to get better. I really enjoy watching him when he's on form.
Okay. Yeah, and I think there's more still in his game. Look, there's a disappointment they're not going to the World Cup. Would have hurt him as well. And I think there's still more in him, bro. Like for me, since he's come back, he had a game off against Wolves where he got a yellow card in the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I got those 2 points out. There was something I saw in an episode yesterday of Monsa's show, and it was interesting. Guys, and it's one of those things. Shout out to KJ. Like I said earlier, KJ was on the panel. He was one of the few people that was actually bold enough to stick up for some of these players that, obviously some of these content creators have a little bit of a
Agenda.
Agenda. I forget what it is, something like this, something in their crawl. I forgot how they say that. But
I got cut off there. I just wanted to quickly finish off what I was saying. And good night, Jimmy, as well. And just what's the right thing for me, bro?
Yeah.
Any player who's been all right for us, it was Wirtz last month. You know what I mean? Everyone just picks, they've got nothing to talk about here. So what they do, they just pick up some bullshit topic to go on. Like for me, Szoboszlai, bro. For me,
he's the last person you should be bringing up.
Last thing I've got to talk about him. For me, he's just the top. He's proven me wrong. Let's put it that way. And I love that in football when it comes to Liverpool players. But I don't think he's doing, because I knew Szoboszlai was a top player, bro. There was a difference where I could have carried on that agenda this season. Nah, he ain't great. He ain't scoring enough. I can come out with things like that. You know what I mean? Or you know what I mean? But he's still got something else in him. We haven't seen the best of him, in my opinion.
No doubt.
We got the opportunity. We're going to rest him against Barnsley, so he'll have a few days off there. Him and Van Dijk need rest. For me.
Yeah, agreed.
You get me? So them two brothers getting rest, give it on.
Yeah,
you know what, guys?
Go ahead, Lady.
Well, I was just going to say, I was sort of slow to come to the table with, Arnie Slot's not right for us. Wanted to try and give him a chance, every chance that you got, because it was in our interest for him to do well for us, obviously, But one thing I will say is, he's not good for our players' mentality, because if you look at Dom, Dom's flying, and then Chiesa, I'm surprised Chiesa has even got a positive nerve in his body, with what he's done. But look at Verge. Verge looks like he's got the weight of the world on his shoulders. He's gone from gone from being the most confident footballer, knowing he was the best in the world, to I'm fed up. Kanate's walking around like a. If you look at Kanate, he looks confused all the time. He's looking all over the place. Right. Bradley's trying his absolute best to carry the team, I think, and in doing so, he's getting himself yellow carded all over the place because he's rash. Because he's really trying to do something. McAllister turned it up a notch this week because he'd been criticised. Up to then, he wasn't the best. We know that. Kirkus, is a young, naive player who's jumped into a big team and he's trying to do his best. But, I don't think he's getting the right thing, sort of direction. So when you look at it, look at Mo, who's the happiest player on the planet. Is all over the place and calling the player on the club out. I think he's done more to disrupt the team lately than anything.
And to help it.
Yeah.
It's a real measure as to where we go with this coach. Whether I don't think he's not going to be sacked. I don't believe that. By the way, I'm not slot out. By the way, that's not my agenda. But I do think that the writing is on the wall for this coach, and maybe he's playing on borrowed time. But I think, like all of us would say, we all hope that he can get it together. We all hope that he can, turn it around or get something or show something for the club, because ultimately it's for the benefit for all of us. So I'm not one of those fans that roots for, bad performances from players or from, or bad performances from our team collectively so that we can just get the coach fired. That's not my that's not my agenda at all.
Yeah.
I want to beat Arsenal Thursday. I'll tell you that now.
Like, there you go. There you go.
Let's get that. Come on, man.
Let's get that into
the team before any manager. I don't care about the manager. Right now, for me, I want to beat Arsenal on Thursday because I don't want them to win the league. That's one thing.
Yeah.
And how embarrassing is that? You letting Arteta win a league title? Please don't let it happen. So
I would love to see a double over Arsenal. That'd be fantastic.
Oh, that'd be great, bro. That'd be great. So at least look, bro. It wouldn't surprise me if we do get a result there. It's like
I know we're the underdogs, aren't we? Like at the moment.
Embarrassing.
Yeah.
That's embarrassing. We're underdogs to these lot.
I know.
Come on, bro. Come on.
I know.
That hurts.
But the thing is, when you are the underdog, sometimes you've got the advantage, haven't you? Because
we've always had it.
Yeah, you're going to give it more than. I think, like you just said, JK, we could spin this. We really could, because if those guys think, who the hell do these think are going to beat us? Let's show them what Liverpool can do.
There you go.
We are the champions. In fact, get rid of Slot. I'm going in there as the coach.
Bernadette, guess what?
Well done.
With that speech, I need Bernadette in there.
Yes, get in.
Trust me, man. I was thinking that. That's what I like. That's all you need, a bit of passion, Bernadette. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you reckon Arnie Slot's got passion in him? You know what I mean? Like, I can't.
Too tempered. Too much
I
of that.
think he's too. Look, bro. There's certain managers, right, who have a persona where their image is their energy. Arnie Slot is a manager where his image is something he's trying to portray himself.
Yes.
It isn't natural.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, bro?
Yeah,
For me, he won the league title, bro. He didn't have to do nothing. He didn't have to say fuck all. He didn't have to do nada. He's done what he needed to get done. That's his image done. Came to Liverpool, won the league first year. Bang. There's your image, bro. You don't need to fuck around with any players. Keep the boat sweet. And he didn't do it, bro.
Do you know what? My dad was an Evertonian, but he always he loved the psychology of Cassius Clay then, Muhammad Ali.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But also Shankly, even though he was an Evertonian, my dad, and he used to say to me, he used to tell me stories, and he used to say, Liverpool's changing rooms were state of the art, but the oppositions had no heating in, no baths.
Yeah.
They were they were hard seats, they were absolute rubbish, And he said he used to go into the changing room, Shankly, and he used to say, these puddings, or rice puddings, they used to call them, these rice puddings are coming in here thinking they can take you champions on. You footballers who are the elite footballers, these idiots think they can come in here and take you on. And when you get out there and give them a lesson, and he said he'd have them, champion at the bit to get out there and prove, who the hell are you to come to our ground and think you could beat us? And that's what you want, isn't it? That sort of passion from a manager that can fire them up so that they're champion at the bit to get out and destroy them. And that's what we've lost on this sort of thing.
Yeah, yes, I can't agree more. I know that a lot of people took issue with the way that Klopp often had us being the underdogs, even when some had us, thinking, oh, we should be, confident. We should be going into this match as knowing we're the champions or we're this or we're that. Hey, right now we are the underdogs going into this Emirates matchup, and I hope that we can make the most of it. But great discussion today by everyone on the panel. I'm going to allow for JP, JK, and Lady B to give their good nights out to the people. So I'll start with JP.
Hey, well, good show as always. 12, JK, Delante, Bernie, who was Bernie as well. I just want to say thanks to the chat for supporting the channel. Always appreciate coming on to 12 Man's channel. Good conversation. Everybody gets, their opinions out and being able to speak and be in a safe place. We are all here to support Liverpool, and we want
Absolutely.
what's best for our club. So just good night, everyone, and yeah, I'll see you all next time.
Okay. Well said, JK. Do you want to say your good nights?
Yeah, man. Second that what JP just said, top words, bro. Like what I love about this channel is that we can have a discussion about football and there's no rudeness.
Mm-hmm.
And it's you don't see it nowhere else, man. I've seen a lot of shows on the internet and they are just like kindergarten, man. You get more of a headache. You're thinking, what have I just witnessed for the last hour and a half, man?
Yeah.
So it's good to have a platform where, and even the lads in the chat, all top lads, all respectful.
Top lads.
Top lads, bro. And I respect everyone, I mean, who comes in there, Lee Wizkid, even Scouse Adam now, Red Armchair, Jimmy Duggan, Songs 4K, everyone, man. Top lads, bro. So it feels nice to have that. And that, even though the times are bad, we could have all lost it and been rude 24/7s, bro. Like we're talking about Slot now. Not one of us were rude about Slot. We didn't call him a fraud. We didn't call him, he's got no hair on his head.
Right.
So we can do it. We can keep it respectful, but at the end of the day, we probably still mean the same as the guys who swearing constantly about him and that, like we need a better manager, we need better play, we need a bit more oomph in our team, So great show, bro. Nice to be on.
Pleasure is all mine. Definitely part of the family here, and Lady B, a part of the family as well. What would you like to say to the people before we push on?
Thanks for having me on. I mean, to be honest with you, because I do Brian mostly now, I'm sort of like footballed out by the end of it, And
I understand.
So that's why I don't come here more. But on like I agree with JK. There's the idea that you can have a mature conversation without people falling out or insulting each other or swearing at each other. That is refreshing, isn't it? And I always think, these channels, I want to sit as if I'm sat in a bar or somebody's lounge and you're sitting having either a cup of tea or coffee or a glass of wine or a beer, whatever. I want to be chatting with people like that, like-minded, where you can all just express your opinion about the club you love. That's all you want, isn't it? And that and the guys here, and obviously I know you all, and that's what we have. And it's the same with the chat. They're all nice people who don't go round insulting each other. That is refreshing, because that's why, and I don't know about you guys, but that's why I stay clear of the other Liverpool channels, really. I don't find what I'm looking for in those channels,
Yeah.
100%.
Ultimately, that's what it comes down to, is like trying to not only create a community of that we have as alike, but also helping it grow, helping bring more like-minded people, so we can all look. A lot of our opinions are not copacetic. They're not on. We all have different opinions, different angles, different mindsets of what we believe should be this or be that. But like, we're never going to be able to have a real discourse if we can't civilly talk and be able to, discuss what we have to say on our mind. And you have to be patient and allow for someone to be able to voice what they have to say. And I think that's important, because otherwise it's just people screaming at each other or yelling at each other, insulting each other, and that gets us nowhere.
And the thing is, we've all got opinions, but none of us got agendas. Hence why we don't argue. There you go.
And JK, the other thing I'd like to say as well is, I can only talk for myself, but I think that's what you find, with mature fans. If I've got an opinion on something and somebody can put a good argument up, I will change my opinion if that argument.
And to be spot on, that's the reason why I love 12-man channel, because people don't know, like me, when I met 12-man, our first meeting
interaction,
we were disagreeing, right? And when 12-man broke it down, I was like, yo, even though I still kind of, I was like,
Yeah, yeah.
boy, yeah. It's I can understand where you come, and you don't get that anywhere else. Like for me, that's why I'm on Brian, like Brian and Bernie as well, Jake, that channel as well. You're getting that there, and for me personally, y'all are the true representation of Liverpool fans, and the sad thing is that you all don't have as many subscribers as you once. And I mean, I guess that's how the world works. But at the end of the day, you know, people in the chat just comment and subscribe, because this here is the true representation of you will never walk alone, and the true support of the club. And you know, people just do things now for clicks and agendas, and trying to raise their views and their subscribers, and this is what it is here. You know, you could have a good conversation, we respectful even if we agree to disagree. So yeah, big up, man.
Big up to the
Thanks,
panel.
JP.
Yeah,
Nice.
well said by all the panel members here. Well spoken. Also in the chat, we saw some of the comments being offered out. Again, yeah, just continue to bring people to this channel. You know, include them in the conversation. Tell them, you know, it's a place that, you know, you will be heard. It's a place that you can be respected, and it's a place that you can possibly either bring some insight, bring something to the table that can maybe enlighten us, or maybe vice versa. Maybe you'll learn something from the panel or from your fellow members in the chat. That's what it's all about. I've always said that my mission statement was to always make Liverpool fans stronger, and that's how I look at it. Because I want us to be stronger, whether we're in foreign territory. I know other channels or the likes talking about our team. I always want us to be strong enough to be able to converse, to feel confident in our conversation, and also to be confident that each of us have each other's backs. And that's what it actually comes down to. So again, thank you to the panel. Thank you to you in the chat. Big up. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll do a preview tomorrow. It's so crazy that we're already up against we're already about to go into these games. It's so wild, but we'll get a preview going. I see you guys tomorrow. Look, it always comes down to these three simple words: up the Reds. Each and every time, up the Reds. We will see you tomorrow. Until then, take care, and definitely God bless.